Well, the rains came earlier today in Flushing, but the skies have cleared. It's a gorgeous night for baseball at Citi Field as the Mets try to win their first series of the year against the Cubs, and they've got the ace, Johan Santana, on the mound to try and do it. From Citi Field in New York, it's Mets baseball on SNY tonight as the New York Mets take on the Chicago Cubs in tonight's game, presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Kevin Burkhardt. Gary, Keith, and Ron will be along shortly to tell you more about the game. And we are in a unique perspective tonight, as just behind me, Johan Santana warming up, getting set for his start, taking his customary warm-up pitches. And, you know, this is such a cool thing as Johan goes for his second win of the season. Coming off that really outing that got forgotten in that 20-inning game against St. Louis, Johan went 7 shutout innings, threw over 113 pitches in that game. He's going for his second win against the Cubs and Tom Gorzolani. But as we watch Johan throw his bullpen, you know, I watch Rod Barajas, who's catching this session, and a lot of the catchers, starting catchers that will catch tonight, will only come in the final 10 or 15 pitches, and just really to get loose, to get warmed up, maybe see a breaking ball or two and see the type of movement they have. Rod Barajas is a little bit different. He tells me he likes to go out anytime he's starting and catch the entire session. There's a couple of reasons why. Number one is movement. You want to see the curveball. You want to see the breaking ball, even the fastball. And the other thing Barajas told me is, you know, I also like to see and make some adjustments, such as I see a guy is maybe a little stiff on that curveball. Tell him, hey, make sure you finish that curveball. He says Johan sometimes gets all amped up, and his mechanics, especially on the fastball, may be a little bit stiff. So I tell him to follow through. All those things very important tonight as Rod and Johan develop that rapport as the Mets try to win their first series of the year. So as we watch Johan throw to Rod, getting set for the start tonight, he's the starting pitcher tonight. Let's go to SNY starting pitcher. It's Ron Darling, who's over in the booth joining us now. And Ronnie, as a starting pitcher, what are you looking to do, and what is your timetable, you know, before you start? When are you getting out here, warming up, and how many pitches are you going to throw? You know, Kevin, what you do usually is you go out there about a half hour before, you do a little bit of running, a little bit of stretching. You've done most of that in the clubhouse. And then just like a prize fighter, you start doing some long toss just to get that sweat working, so by the time you get into that bullpen where Johan is now, that you're able to throw almost close to full potential as you're starting to dart your pitches in and out. How about at the end of this session, Ronnie? Are you going all out? Is your fastball, your curveball, and change? I mean, you really letting it fly? Tell me how that bullpen session works. Yeah, you probably throw about 40 to 45 pitches in the bullpen to get yourself where you're throwing your pitches 10 to the outside corner with your fastball, 10 to the inside corner, and then you want to spin a few breaking pitches, get yourself into the game. And then what I would do at the end, Kevin, is I would pretend that I'm facing the first 3 hitters of the game and make sure that I work those kind of pitches, inside, outside, curveball, all those pitches. The one thing about the bullpen, it's always a perfect inning. Right, that's true. Ronnie, last one. When do you make the call? I mean, I guess you might know right away, but tell me, when do you make the call whether you know if the curveball, the changeup is where it should be? I always would do one thing, Kevin. It doesn't matter what you do in the bullpen. It's the thing to get loose for the game. It has no reflection on the game. If you have a bad bullpen or a good bullpen, it doesn't mean anything that you're going to do when you're out there on the mound. All right, Ronnie, thanks. We'll be joining you and Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez in a moment. Johan Santana's bullpen is done. He's ready to go as the Mets try to win their first series of the year. At Santana and Gorzolani at Citi Field. First pitch is coming up next. possible. By Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. By BP, help your car run younger for longer. Try BP gasoline with Invigorate. And by Audi, truth in engineering. Traveling this season? Take the Mets with you. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Mets game live or on demand on your computer. Visit Mets.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv. It's baseball everywhere. And we've got baseball tonight at Citi Field. Mets looking to take 3 of 4 from the Cubs. Johan Santana on the mound going for win number 2. Gary, Keith, and Ron in the booth when we come back.
With their show. It's for the NFL.
Those people right outside their window, just not there to see them. Here's your fourth starting lineup for the Cubs. By the way, we're Gary, Keith, and Ron up at the booth. I just wanted to reintroduce ourselves. Day off for Aramis Ramirez, who's gone 0 for this series, 0 for 14. And so the big RBI guy in the Cubs lineup sits tonight in favor of Xavier Nady, who will play right field and take his spot in the batting order, and Mike Fontenot, who takes his spot on the field.
Santana coming off that great start Saturday in St. Louis. 7 shutout innings with 9 punch-outs. 13-9 last season. It's never lost to the Cubs. 123 and 60 lifetime.
Keith, speak so we know that you're here.
I'm here. I'm just getting my scorecard ready. I was a little tardy.
Ryan Theriot leads off for the Cubs, takes a fastball for a strike, and we're underway at Citi Field.
I was ready to chime in with defense. I'm waiting for my cue.
Theriot 3 for 8 in the series, hitting at .254. And he takes a fastball, and Santana quickly ahead 0-2. Santana's start in St. Louis was interesting. It was one of those ace starts where the ace doesn't have as great command early in the game, but finds it after a couple of innings.
He had to be, because Mr. Garcia for the St. Louis Cardinals was equally outstanding.
He had 5 no-hit innings. Santana, meanwhile, threw 54 pitches in the first 2 innings. There's Jeff Baker on deck, but settled down and worked his way through 7 scoreless. throwing 111.
Well, the one game that Johan struggled this year against Washington, they jumped him early, and that seems to be what you have to do against Johan. Is the first couple of innings, you got to be very aggressive. He's going to throw a lot of fastballs.
Of course, that was the Josh Willingham first inning grand slam that wound up beating him 2 starts back. 1-2 to Terrio, and he fouls back the fastball. And Santana's come out throwing heat tonight.
Yes, he has. Trying to establish inside. And he's got it up in the low 90s.
I think as it heats up, guys, he's going to heat up. I bet you we see 92, 93 again this year.
1-2 to Terrio leading off. And the first changeup misses high, 2-2. Do you think that's because of the elbow chips that he had taken out, or think strictly because of the weather?
I'm just saying for me that after you have the operation, it takes a while to get rid of all those adhesions.
And the changeup strikes out Terrio for the first out of the night.
And the warmer it gets, the arm just feels great, and that's when you let it go. Beautiful movement on that changeup by Santana.
Late sink. We've seen a lot of that this year with his changeup. Something we didn't see so much last year. And there's my cue. Lex's defense. What does that mean? 3 stolen bases allowed. Fewest in the MLB. Well, you can credit Henry Blanco and Barajas for that. Blanco, I'm going to tell you, in Colorado, was impressive with his arm.
And then, of course, picked off Fondo at second base here. One of the big plays overlooked in the Pelfrey start.
In fact, there has not been a single stolen base against Blanco. He's 3 for 3 throwing guys out.
Yep.
Baker playing third base tonight with Ramirez getting the night off after playing second base in the first 3 games of this series. 2 for 15 in the 3 games is Baker. Hitting at .226 on the year.
You know, just to go back to the stolen bases that Keith was mentioning, it's kind of a 3-pronged attack. It's the pitchers holding the runners on and doing a good job of that. It's the catchers, of course, with their strong arm, but also it's the bench that does a lot of the calling to the throw over, step off, those kind of things that disrupts the runner.
1-2 to Jeff Baker. Hit to center field, and Pagan drifting back. Plenty of room. And there are 2 out.
Big ballpark.
With the wind blowing out in Wrigley, the Cubs would have hit about 6 or 7 home runs here at Citi Field, because anything up in the air to center field is gone.
This ballpark is definitely an advantage to the Mets, and obviously a disadvantage to the Cubs. The Cubs are built entirely different.
Especially a guy like Derek Lee, who is such a gap-to-gap power hitter. Remember when he was in Florida, he would lose a lot of home runs in that ballpark because it's similar to this, in that it's deep gap-to-gap, but more shallow down the line.
Wrigley Field is built perfectly for Derek Lee in the way he hits.
368 in the gaps there, and on the days the wind's blowing out, it plays like about 320.
And they don't, and they cut the grass now. Before, when I played, they didn't never cut the grass. Well, the grass was like a lion's mane.
They redid the entire field, and now they've let the grass grow again.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Excellent. Bill Buckner used to scream running down the base, first base, but to cut the grass. I left out the adjective.
Good thing.
I'd hear him out of my left ear as I was kind of ready to catch the ball. I'd just hear him just screaming halfway down the line.
Lee 1 for 10 in this series, hitting at .245. The Cubs offense has struggled, although not last night, as he drives this one out to right center, and Frank Core comes in, grabs it for a 1-2-3 opening inning for Santana. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the first with no score. At Mets tonight, same lineup as last night. Jerry Manuel talked about changing the lineup tomorrow, the next time the Mets face a right-hander, but against the lefty tonight, he will go status quo. There is the lefty, Tom Gorzelani.
He was traded with John Grabo from Pittsburgh over to the Cubs. His career year was 2007 when he went 14-10. In his last start, pulled after 3 innings, he was hit by a Pedro Feliz line drive on his left arm. Said he experienced some discomfort, but it did not affect his throwing.
Got him on the upper arm, so he came out of that game after 3 innings. Reyes 5 for 11 in this series. And he takes a strike on the outside with the fastball.
Now, Gorzelani is one of those left-handers with a little funky motion, sneaky. He's either got it or he doesn't have it when he gets out there.
Toward the hole, on the backhand, Terrio makes the overhand toss to get Reyes, 1 away.
And the Coors Light Cubby defense. And we're going to highlight Soriano, 11 errors last season. Well, you know, we know he's not a defensive expert out there. He's always been paid for his bat and his speed, which his speed has diminished of late. But he had a big night last night.
It's funny that you said, as you were saying that, Keith, I was watching Soriano. He was practicing his swing out in left field. Pretty much illustrating your point. Here's Luis Castillo taking a strike.
Now, he's had some fine years, and he had a big night last night. But there's the Cub uniform I like on the road.
Yeah, that's nice.
With the Cubby emblem on the sleeve. Castillo riding an 8-game hitting streak. Drove a triple to right center as a right-hand batter last night. And Louis takes it low. David Wright hitting third in the order on deck. So Wright, Bay, and Francoeur still 3, 4, and 5. All trying to fight their way out of slumps right now.
Well, whenever the middle of your lineup struggles, you're not going to be scoring much runs.
2-2 to Castillo. Mark Carlson calling the balls and strikes tonight. Jeff Nelson, Todd Tichenor, and the crew chief Jeff Kellogg have had this entire 4-game series. Mets with a win tonight can get their first series victory of the year after dropping their first 4 series. Castillo tries to lay off the breaking ball and stopped it in time. Jeff Nelson with the call, and it's 3-2.
Well, when you watch Gorzelani, he kind of throws across his body, and he'll work the ball away from the right-handers with his sinker, and then that slider down and in where he tries to get the check swing. Didn't get the call there.
Gorzelani, his first full year in the big leagues, won 14 games with the Pirates in 07. Topped on the ground to short. Nice big hop for Terrio to handle. But Gorzelani's never had as much success over the ensuing years as he had that first full year.
Well, you have to remember is that everything came together. He was pitching on that right day because that Pittsburgh team has just been awful for 17 consecutive years. So that year came together nicely. The next year, when you're playing with a team that wins 60 games a year, you're not going to win 14, 15 games.
Here's David Wright. Speaking of the Pirates and the ineptitude,
they had a little trouble today.
They lost 20-0 to Milwaukee today and got outscored 36-1 in a 3-game series.
Ouch.
Same old. David 4 for his last 27. And he takes low from Gorzelani 1-0. The other thing about that Pittsburgh team is they had Gorzelani, Mahalam, and Duke.
Yes.
All of whom were basically the same pitcher.
The same pitcher, and then they had another young guy who was right-handed, Ian Snell. And they really didn't, I mean, they really thought those 4 guys would emerge. At least 3 of them would be outstanding, and all have not found their mark yet.
2-0 to David. Takes a rip at a fastball.
Boy, it just looks like that outside corner is giving David all kinds of trouble. And keep an eye on his front shoulder. You can't reach it. I think maybe get a little closer.
Another fastball. 2-2. Well, do you think that he needs to be thinking right field more? Is that what he needs to be doing on that outside pitch?
I think he needs to get a little closer. And I don't know if he wants to get closer. They're going to come in.
Full count to David, who's drawn more walks than anybody in the major leagues, 19 already this year. See his proximity to home plate. 3-2 from Gorzelani, and he gets him with the pitch away. Fastball strikes out right. Gorzelani's first strikeout. The Mets go 1-2-3. Santana back to the mound for the second. No score. The Brewers with that 20-0 win. Ryan Braun a homer and 5 RBIs. Worst loss ever for the Pirates. Ubaldo Jimenez after his no-hitter. No no-hitter day, but 7 1/3 scoreless, 5 hits. And the Rockies beat the Nats. Yankees turn a triple play first in 42 years, but they lost the game to the A's on a Kurt Suzuki 3-run homer. Same guy who hit into the triple play. The other thing that happened in that game today, and I haven't heard any good explanation for it, as Marlon Byrd leads off the second, is Dallas Braden started that game for the A's and got the win, but as he left the field after his 6 innings, got into a shouting match with Alex Rodriguez, and Bob Guerin had to kind of keep Braden from going after A-Rod.
Maybe we'll get some news and give you a little later in the game.
Well, A-Rod ran over the mound, right? And, you know, you don't run over a pitcher.
Is that what happened?
He ran around a foul ball, and he was running first to third.
And he ran back over.
And he ran back right over his mound, and the pitcher took
Stay off
exception.
The mound. Stay off the mound.
You don't run across a pitcher's mound.
So there's the out. I mean, would you get testy if a player did that?
I wouldn't do it.
I did.
I think I'm just saying. I think I was respected enough that they would not do that.
So you think if it were a different pitcher, that A-Rod wouldn't have done it?
I think A-Rod, you know, he does some.
Marlon Byrd lines a base hit, the first hit of the game. Bay tracks it. Byrd heads for second. Bay uncorks the throw, and in safely is Marlon Byrd with a double. Well, Bay did all he could getting to that ball near the line, but Byrd able to beat it out for his 6th double of the year.
Well, Byrd just turns on this fastball in, and boy, he watch him turn the jets on. We're going to show it again. He knew, he made his decision around 15 feet in front of first base. And he just, I watched him there. I didn't watch the monitor. Sorry, Bill. But he turned on the jets. He's safe.
You know, just like last night with Soto, though, maybe we have to get some. Again, a little sticky there around second base.
Soto came up very short on his slide last night. Here's Xavier Nady, and he takes the changeup high.
We'll see if Santana missed a spot on the ILTV pitch differential, and he did. Wanted it down and in. Whenever you get it up in the strike zone when you're going in against right-handed hitter, you might get him out, but he's going to get a piece of the bat on the ball. Down and in, not as much.
Byrd having a good series, 6 for 13 now with that double.
Still a pretty good pitch, I thought.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, sometimes you got to tip your hat to the hitter. I mean, that was on the corners, and Byrd just really rushed his hand through.
Xavier Nady limited so far this year, coming off Tommy John surgery. That's why he wasn't in the lineup last night, despite the fact the Mets threw a left-hander. Played the first game of the series Monday, but had to take a couple of days off. And they they expect that to be the case for at least the first month or two of the season. And Santana misses away 2-1.
Nady's another guy that stands way off the plate. We were talking about David before, as we see the hero from last night's game for the Cubs, Soriano. But he's way off the plate, deep in the box, a little open stance before Santana delivers it. I don't know if he ever gets back to be able to cover that outside part.
Further away than Wright was. Yeah. He has a fastball for a strike, 2-2.
When you're open like that and you never close, that outside corner looks about 4 feet away.
He's got a longer bat. You can see most guys use a short bat. Look, he's got a thin handle.
Pittsburgh paints overhead camera.
Are we going to be able to use that when we play the Pirates?
That's an excellent question.
Or is that going to be considered rooting for the visiting team?
Nady, the former Pirate, fouls one off. Xavier Nady was a teammate in Pittsburgh with Jason Bay. Shared the same outfield for a while. Bird at second and nobody out. 2-2 to Nady with Soriano to follow. Nady was spent just 4 months, but 4 memorable ones as a Met back in '06. Pokes one foul.
He was quite popular here in those 4 months.
Popular with the fans, popular with his teammates, and popular with us upstairs. Just a real gentleman.
There's a changeup right there, sinking.
It's the year X-Man and I both had our appendectomies within weeks of each other.
That's right. You had to go on the DL.
It was more important that he went on the DL.
We thought we were going to miss you the whole second half.
Fast healer. This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat to Nady. And up and away. So good at bat here for Nady, waiting out Santana in a full count.
Took a nice at bat in the first game of the series against Jonathan Neese, very similar to this at bat, and then ended up swinging at a ball outside the strike zone, 3-2.
Payoff pitch to Nady. Grounded to the left side. Runner will have to hold as Wright gives a glance at Bird and throws out Nady, one away. So Santana wins that battle.
David ranging to his left. See, watch the perfect throw when David's Nady with the big leg kick. Tap of the foot. A lot of hitters do that today.
That's a Rudy Jaramillo special. He teaches that kind of toe tap. Remember when Frank Core went to Texas, he worked on that toe tap when he was with the Braves.
Well, here's Soriano, who had a big night last night. Single, triple, home run, 3 RBIs. 6 for 11 now in the series. And batting at .327. Bird at second and 1 out.
On top of the plate and crouched.
Get a guy hanging out over the plate like that, Ronnie. What's your game plan?
The way to get him out, if he's crouching over the plate, that means he wants the ball out over the plate. You have to pitch him in. That's what Johan tried to do there, but he missed away. You have to throw one right at his belt buckle on that inside part, and he has a looping swing, and that is his hole.
Way in front of the plate,
you
too.
can honestly pitch him like that all game long.
It's very seldom you see a hitter that far in front, close to the pitcher.
Must be a Tony Gwynn.
That's right.
Stand right up at the front of the box.
And have that wide stance also.
I would do that off of Spruce Sutter. Get that far up and try to get that split finger earlier. Or a really good sinker ball pitcher, I'd get up close, get up in front. But he's just, look at how spread out he is. A lot of hitters today hit so spread out.
.1-0 to Soriano. And that changeup missed inside. That's 2-0. Keith, you talk about Wright moving closer to the plate or moving up in the box. Did you really move around that much? And do guys not move as much these days?
I didn't move around the box. I knew where I felt comfortable. And if a certain pitcher, Gary, in an RBI situation late in the game was getting me out away, I would move an inch closer to the plate the 4th at bat.
Off the end of the bat, a cue shot down to Ike Davis. And he puts on the tag for the second out, moving Bird over to third.
Depending on how good the whatever that pitch was, or was getting me out with, and a changeup here gets Soriano out in front. But, you know, those are the games you play. And pitchers, when they get you, when you're 0 for 3, the best 1 for 4 in the game is the 1 for 4 in the last at bat, and you beat them, or you put a hurt on them.
It's a great shot of that ultra slow, seeing that ball right off the cup at the end of the bat. But I'll get back to this. Do you think guys today get locked into one spot in the box and are reluctant to move at all?
Well, I got locked in one spot. It was just the extraordinary pitcher that I had to make an adjustment. Or that pitcher that day was getting me out with a certain pitch. Then I had to make an adjustment.
Giovanni Soto with 2 out and a runner at third takes a strike.
I know the adjustment. When I watched the game today, that hitters don't make that they made in Keith's day, my day, is that guys used to shorten up a lot more with 2 strikes, and they really have their regular swing on 2 strikes now.
And the fastball for a strike, and Santana ahead 0-2. I think there's not as much of a taboo to striking out as there might have been.
Maybe that's it.
25 years ago, and certainly 50 years ago, when striking out was something you were never supposed to do. Lifted to right center, and Pagan is there to play it. And so Santana works around the leadoff double by Bird. Middle of the second at Citi Field with no score. Game against the Braves with the Mr. Met Dash for all kids 12 and under. For tickets, visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Jason Bay leads off the home second inning and takes a breaking ball strike from Corzolani. Bay 3 for 8 in this series, but still looking for that first home run as a Met and still looking to find a groove.
Change on the left. That was a fastball. That was not a very good swing by Bay. Boy, that's just really been a struggle for Jace.
See what the drought has reached now for Jason.
Francoeur's longest drought also, correct, Gary?
The longest drought of his career in terms of no hits. 0 for 22.
And prior to that, only an 0 for 16 was his high.
1-2 to Bay, taken high. I was talking to Jason before the game today, and he said last year I was the best player on the planet the first 2 months. He said then for 5 weeks I was the worst player on the planet, but because I had put those numbers up and we were winning, nobody noticed. Bay takes a call, third strike. But when you do it at the beginning of the year, when you're a free agent and your team's not winning, it is glaring when you get off to this kind of start.
Slow starts are you're on the interstate or you're on some county road somewhere.
County road.
So
8:45.
You know, he said it nicely. You know, during the season, you got your average where it is, and you go into a slump. It doesn't. You got 300 at bats. Okay. But in the first part of the season, no one wants to go look up on the scoreboard and see, you know, a 0.96 or 2 or a 1.56.
Same as having a 9 ERA. You don't want that either.
Yeah, Francoeur has a different take on his struggles right now as he grounds one to shortstop and Terrio in front of it. And that's 0 for 23 for Jeff. He said, I've never been as good as I was the first 2 weeks of the season, and I've never been as bad as I've been the last 5 days. So the way I'm going to look at it is the season starts now.
Very nice.
All balanced out.
You play mind games with yourself whenever you're in a slump to try to get whatever it takes to get you thinking positive, because when you're 0 for 23 now, you know, you got to fight that. You got to fight that negativism.
So now Mike Davis getting a start against the left-hander for the first time. He's had a couple of at-bats against left-handed relievers.
This will be a tough test. Just like John Grable last night that struck out Ike on 3 pitches. Gorzolani throws across his body. It's almost like he steps towards first. So when he releases that ball, it's almost like Davis feels like it's behind him.
Covered a fastball, and it's 1-1.
Either this guy, he's sneaky fastball because the Met hitters have been tardy in his first couple of innings.
He's going 90.
Yeah.
And upstairs.
27-year-old Tom Gorzolani.
Oh, good spot.
Fastball for a strike. 1-2.
Good. You're right, Keith. 90-91. That's what Santana's throwing, and we consider him a power pitcher.
90-91's plenty. Not a lot of time to think up there.
Davis fooled on the breaking ball, and he went around strike 3. Jeff Kellogg with the call. Third strikeout for Gorzolani, and he's gone 6 up, 6 down without allowing the ball to leave the infield. 2 in the books now at Citi Field with no score. Base runner through the first 2. A leadoff double by Marlon Byrd in the second. Now the number 8 hitter Mike Fontenot leads off against Santana. Fontenot, the only left-handed regular in the lineup tonight. You got a left-hand batting pitcher as well in Gorzolani. And Santana throws a first pitch strike.
Fontenot had a nice game in the second game of this series. He takes a lot of pitches, very patient, will hit the ball the other way.
And with the much publicized signing by the Cubs of Rudy Jaramillo as their hitting coach, Fontenot is really the #1 success story so far for Jaramillo.
Had a difficult year last year, and Fontenot is one of those guys. They would honestly love him to be able to play every day with Terrio because it gives them a good defense up the middle. Plus, they've played with each other as collegians.
Raging Cajuns at LSU.
They won a national title, didn't they?
There's Gorzelani on deck, and then Terrio here in the top of the third. And Fontenot takes just inside. I think Johan thought he was going to get that call. 1-2.
That's one thing that Santana and Barajas. Santana's been using more since Barajas got here. That's the changeup inside to the left-handed hitter. Didn't see him throw that many of those his first couple of years.
Drive toward left field. That'll fall for a base hit and head toward the gap. Pagan cuts it off deep. And Fontenot in at second base with a leadoff double. Ball gets loose briefly, but Davis there to back it up. So for the second straight inning, the Cubs have a leadoff double. Gorzelani coming up. We're going to check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Guys, earlier today they had a very nice ceremony outside Citi Field. Of course, all the improvements they did around here, and some of them included renaming the entrances to the ballpark. So the Seaver Gate and also the Hodges Gates. The dedication was today, and I'm with the Hodges family. Of course, Gil Jr. to my left, and Joan Hodges is to my right. Of course, they've been familiar to SNY, and just your reaction, Joan, to seeing what they did today and the dedication of the Hodges name to the entrance on the first base side of the park here.
I've experienced many thrills in the many years, 61 years.
It's a lot of baseball.
A lot of baseball, but I have to tell you, this is right up there with the top.
Why is that?
I don't know, because Gil is so much a part of the Mets from the very beginning, and to stand outside in front of that picture and the VIP entrance and everything I feel, and everyone else.
Somehow Gorzelani got that down in self-defense, and Santana will throw him out. So that worked out pretty well. What do you think fans think of Joe? When they think of Gil, what do you think is the first thing that comes to their mind?
The fact that he was the man that he was. He really, truly did stand for so much. He really did. You know, when he came to the New York Mets organization, at that time, they were known as the clowns of baseball. And I'm not saying that I was born here and baseball has been my life. But when he died, they were known as the team of dignity, class, and so much more. Really, it was his family.
So you're proud of the man he was outside of the game, too.
Very much so. Very much so.
As Terrio will foul one off as we talk to Joan Hodges here on the day at the Mets dedicated the Hodges and Seaver entrance here at Citi Field along the first base line. Joan, what do you ask you what you think the fans think of? What do you think of most when you think of Gil? Do you think of his baseball days as a manager, as a player? What are some of your fondest memories of his days in baseball?
Well, his days of baseball, you naturally always rooted for the team, and you rooted for your husband. But the days of managing, you root for the team. You root for the whole thing. And that's a little harder to do. It really is. A little bit more of an investment, huh? Oh, I'll say very, very much so.
Joan, it's always a pleasure to catch up to you. We'll see if Johan can get out of this. Let's ask one to Gil Jr. before we send it back. As Terrio battling Santana here. Gil Jr. would be remiss if I didn't get your comments and your reaction. When you saw everything today, when you saw the Hall of Fame, give me your thoughts.
It was just fabulous. The job that the Mets did. The presentation from the Hall of Fame, the memorabilia that they've collected, the tile work of my dad's picture outside, magnificent. I mean, they really paid a tribute to him. He'd be proud of what they did.
Long time coming, well deserved. The Hodges family, guys, let's go back to you.
Certainly well deserved, and just another piece of real Mets history in this ballpark this year. As Terrio hits one to right field. And Francoeur steadies to make the catch. Fontenot's going to try for third. Here comes the throw by Francoeur. It's cut off. And Fontenot takes third, which he did not do on the bunt by Gorzelani on that knockdown pitch by Santana.
Well, here's the bunt attempt by Gorzelani right up at his face, trying to get out of the way, but the bat was still in the strike zone, and really, Fontenot didn't know what to do. That ball was off the bat, looked like a pop-up maybe to Santana, so he had to hold his ground. That's amazing. Gil Hodges, known as the Mets manager, of course, but was such a fine player with the Brooklyn Dodgers at first base. And last year, that entrance was the first base VIP entrance. So aptly now, the Hodges entrance.
Jeff Baker fouls it off. Well, Gil had himself a wonderful playing career, 8-time All-Star, 370 career home runs, played with those great Dodger teams of the 50s, and then came over after managing the Washington Senators to start managing the Mets in 1968. And won the World Series in '69. And who knows how the course of this franchise might have been different had Gil not passed away just prior to the 1972 season at the far too young age of 47.
Well, I'll tell you, Tom Seaver just sings his praises, and that's enough for me. I wish I could have met the man.
0-2 to Baker. In the air to center field, and Pagan has it lined up. And so Santana, for the second straight inning, works around the leadoff double. That keeps this game scoreless. Headed to the bottom of the third at Citi Field. Into left field, his only hit in this series.
Well, Rod's wheelhouse is right around mid-thigh, middle of the plate in. That's where he likes to launch.
And so Soto's set up away, and that's where Gorzolani throws the first pitch fastball on the corner. Gorzolani certainly showing no ill effects from being hit on the arm by a Pedro Feliz line drive in his last start.
He looks very comfortable throwing the corners, mixing his pitches.
The ground crew's going to have to fertilize the grass where Soriano's played these last 4 games. I don't think he's moved.
1-2 with Barajas. It's like the old strawberry patch in right field.
That's right.
Used to be that brown grass out where Darryl stood at Shea Stadium.
Darryl used to get riled when McCarver used to bring it up all the time.
He's playing too deep. Barajas strikes out for the first out. The 4th strikeout for Gorzolani.
When you're looking at Gorzolani, you can tell that he wants to have a straight line between the mound right through the catcher. And that's where he wants to land with that right foot. But watch where he'll land. Instead of that right foot going to the catcher, it goes to the left side towards first base. And that's what's called throwing across your body. It takes a strong person to do that. You put a lot of stress on your shoulder when you do that.
Randy Jones was very much more accentuated. Well, he stepped way over to the side, came across his body.
Here's Angel Pagan, and he gets fooled on the breaking ball, 0-1.
Randy Jones, when he was with the Padres in his heyday, he had, everybody talked about his sinker, he had a great slider.
He had one that kept breaking, didn't he?
Yep. It was pretty wicked.
Was Randy the fastest worker you ever faced?
There was a lot of fast workers, but he just threw the ball and you made contact. You made quick outs.
Those 79 pitch complete games.
Yeah, it was like 3 pitches and out. You were out of the at bat 3 or 4 pitches into the at bat.
Pagan hits one to center field, and Marlon Byrd is there.
I remember the word got out about Jones was like, how can he get these guys out? He can't break a pane of glass. And Red Changes was moaning and groaning, and the word said, well, they should throw an all left-hand lineup up against Randy Jones. And Red put an all left-hand lineup up against Randy Jones. And guess what? He shut us out.
Randy Jones wound up as a Met later in his career.
That's right.
He was pretty much done by then.
Mets got him a day late and a nickel short.
Well, that happened a few times. Remember, they picked up Mickey Lolich for Rusty Staub. Not a good deal. Up and into Santana 1-0.
Well, Mickey was a little bit overweight back in those days.
That's sad. By the way, Keith, you were 16 for 39 against Randy Jones.
Are you kidding?
410 with 3 home runs. So
are you serious?
Dave Freed is back tonight, and he has introduced that number to me. By the way, Dave's son Brandon is doing just fine.
Great. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it wasn't an easy. Don't ask me how. I closed my eyes and just guessed.
Well, he threw strikes and he put the ball in play, right?
Well, 3 home runs. Jeez.
With a sinker ball pitcher.
Yeah. It's hard to believe.
Broken back grounder behind the mound. And Fontenot throws out Santana. Gorzolani perfect through 3 innings. Only 1 ball's left the infield. On to the 4th. No scoring. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. And if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. The Braves are in town tomorrow night, and then Saturday afternoon and Sunday night. The Dodgers are in next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, before the Mets go to Philadelphia. Derek Lee leads off in the 4th inning in a scoreless game. Fly to right his first time up, and takes a strike from Santana. It'll be Lee, then Marlon Byrd and Xavier Nady for the Cubs, who've had the only 2 hits in this game. Leadoff doubles by Byrd and Fontenot each of the last 2 innings. And so the Cubs already 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position in this game.
Talk about an open stance.
Out to right center. Pagan cutting across and makes the grab. One away. Look at that. 67 consecutive innings now since Santana last issued a leadoff walk.
Wow.
And, you know, that's a pretty good presentation for a team that continues to have problems from the rest of their pitchers with walks.
Can you imagine if Santana walked people? I mean, they had 9, I think, last night. That's one place they're going to have to get better. They know that.
77 walks in 144 innings starting the night, most in the league. There's his first pitch strike to Bird, who doubled to the left field line his first time up.
The problem is, and we saw in Carlos Marmol last night, if you're going to walk people, you have to have a strikeout staff, and the Mets do not have that.
Although, it's interesting you say that because I think of them that way too.
Yeah.
Right now, and it's a small sample, the Mets lead the National League in strikeouts.
Well, that's, you know, they're not going to lead at the end.
No.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect that, although Pelfrey's strikeouts will probably be up this year.
You're right. You're right.
You don't know about the rest of the guys.
You get a lot of those strikeouts in the pen also.
Santana's thrown 14 consecutive strikes. And that streak finally ends. 1-2 to Bird.
You jinxed him.
No, I was just giving a piece of information.
Always works that way.
Well, you don't necessarily want to throw a strike on 0-2. Guy might hit a home run. 1-2. Hit hard, base hit, and Bird is 2 for 2. They're able to cut this ball off, and this time he'll be held to a single. So Bird having himself a great series, 7 for 14 now.
Marlon Bird is an outstanding breaking ball hitter. Santana goes for the changeup. He wants this down and away, especially 1-2. You almost want this to bounce on the plate, and it just stayed up right in the middle, and Bird took advantage.
So 1 out and 1 on. And here's Nady, who battled Santana first time up, an 8-pitch at bat before grounding out to David Wright. Fastball misses for ball 1. Only the 14th ball in the first 55 pitches by Santana. Off the end of the bat foul, 1-1.
You know, change-up pitcher like this, Gary.
Wow.
Yeah, look at the nice pitch count.
3-to-1 strike to ball ratio.
You got a change-up pitcher. For me, it would have been a great, like an Andy Messersmith had a great change-up from a right-hander. Bert Hooton developed a great change-up. That's the time I would adjust and stand on top of the plate and dare him to throw me in. That's what I wanted.
One and 2 to Nady.
The best changeup, like I've said it a million times, by far, head and heels over everybody, was Andy Messersmith. He just had a great changeup, just the perfect amount he took off the fastball that you couldn't hang, and it would just get you out in front.
So straight, or did he have
a little bit of a slight tail to it, slight. It was just the best I ever faced.
1 and 2 to Nady, and a look in on Bird, who has 1 steal this year. Soriano waits on deck. Down to first base, but it crawls through the hole on a base hit for Nady. Bird heads for third. Francoeur bare hands and fires, but not in time. And the Cubs have runners on the corners. A little snake right through the hole for Xavier Nady.
With his little cue stick here, RJ.
Yeah,
at the end of the bat.
Yep. Massey.
Sidewinder. That's a nice bare hand. Strong throw off line. Wouldn't have got Bird. Bird runs too well. That ball was just squeaking through the infield. You can see how the Mets play the defense. I'm sure they'll have the corners in a little bit, and they're going to play for 2 deep.
The way Soriano is running, you got to play for the double play all the way.
Yep.
He's just not the runner he used to be.
He's almost like a lumbering power hitter now, the way you approach him defensively.
Well, let's see how Santana opts to work him here. See if he starts him out inside with a fastball.
Grounded out to first base his first trip. And he grounds this one down to David Wright. He's going to have to come home with it. And they've got Bird in the rundown. Barajas makes the toss. Now Wright runs him home, and Santana has to make the tag. Not the way you want to run the rundown play, but the Mets get it out. Nady winds up on third, and Soriano at first.
Well, the runners are going to wait here. Now, nice job by Bird here. And Soriano, he's hustling there, but he should have been on second. You don't know. You can't go now because they can run him back to the base. But that was well done right there by the lead runner, Mr. First.
And a little confusion there with Davis and Santana both coming into cover at home.
Well, they could have got hurt.
You know, it's interesting. You could call interference on Davis because he was in the path. Whenever you have a rundown like that, he struck Davis before Santana put the tag down. That could be defensive interference.
It goes 5-2, 5-1, the play on Bird, and leaves runners at the corners with 2 out.
One too many throws here.
Watch, he hits Davis with his shoulder before he gets tagged.
Well, you know, Santana's so proactive that, you know, pitcher's supposed to be the backup guy in the rundowns, and Davis did the right thing coming down the line. Actually, Davis probably should have held it first because you want to make sure someone's holding Soriano from going to second. And when you got an athlete like Santana, you don't mind him being involved in any play defensively.
By the way, that's 2 nights in a row now we've seen the balletic maneuvers of Ike Davis. Flipping over the railing last night, that time dancing out of the way to avoid making contact or any further contact with Bird.
A little matador in Mr. Davis.
Giovanni Soto flying to center his first time up. Cubs now 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. It's only the 4th inning. Swing and a miss at the fastball, and it's 1-1. This was last night.
Well, the catch is spectacular. Now, superb, I should say. But the follow, look at that. Look at the recovery here as he goes over the railing. I thought that was fabulous.
So Ike, big guy who can move his body a little bit. 1-1 to Soto, and the changeup misses. 2-1. Getting word that the Phillies have got another injury. Jay Happ to the DL. Nelson Figueroa to the rotation for Philadelphia. Nelson lands on his feet again. Here's the 2-1. Popped it up. And Pagan settling under it. And so Santana works out of trouble for a 3rd straight inning. We head for the bottom of the 4th. Mets will have the top of the batting order coming up. That means Jose Reyes trying to get things ignited for the Mets. from Radio City on Jets blog and Giants football blog, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Home fourth inning, second time around the batting order. Gorzelani's been perfect through 3. Reyes bluffing a bunt, takes a strike. Jose bounced to short his first time up. So 2 pitchers putting up zeros, but having different experiences so far. Santana's been pitching out of the stretch virtually the entire last 3 innings. Gorzelani is yet to throw 1 pitch from the stretch. Reyes pops one up on the left side. And it's Terrio for the first out. So 10 up and 10 down for Gorzelani, throwing just 40 pitches to get those 10 batters.
Nice little pitcher's duel shaping up here.
1 out, and now Luis Castillo, who bounced to short his first time up. Started the night with an 8-game hitting streak. Santana has now thrown 13 consecutive scoreless innings. The last 2 against Washington, the 7 against the Cardinals that netted him a no decision on Saturday, and the first 4 today.
He wants to sue for non-support, though, on those innings.
Pelfrey's got his 19 consecutive scoreless, 2 wins and a save.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Mike, reminds Frankie Rodriguez every day when he comes in the clubhouse that he leads the team in saves. 1-0. There's the strike, 2-1 to Castillo. It's kind of like John Maine, who reminds Pelfrey quite often about the home run totals for the 2 of them.
I personally would never get on my closer. Massage the closer. Come on, big guy. I'm going to need you later.
Frankie may not have him saved, but it's no fault of his. I mean, he did blow the 1 save opportunity in the 19th inning, but still, he's pitched awfully well. He's not had any chances. 2-2 outside, and a full count to Castillo. 3rd full count for Gorzelani. 2nd time against Castillo. David Wright on deck. That's just looking for a base runner any way they can get one. And it's Castillo who draws a 1-out walk. So after Gorzelani retired the first 10, he finally cracks. David Wright coming up as the Mets present the heart of the batting order, and Kevin Burkhardt has more.
With the rain today, guys, no outside BP. So really for 3 hours, Howard Johnson was inside working with all the Mets hitters. And here's what he told me about David Wright and Jason Bay. For Wright, he said they really worked today on tracking pitches. He said he felt like David wasn't seeing pitches at certain points. So they worked on really tracking balls quite a bit. With Bay, he worked on his front foot. Hojo said he didn't feel like his front foot was getting down. He was a little bit off balance, and I'll tell you more when Bay comes to the plate. Guys?
Gorzelani worked right away his first time up and struck him out, and he starts him way outside.
Well, this is usually where you want to talk to your pitcher, even if you're the catcher. Settle him down. Say, listen, this is going to be the first time you're throwing from the stretch. Let's concentrate. Let's pump that strikes in like you've been doing from the windup. Have to be careful with Gorzelani. He's got a nice move.
Gorzelani staying outside with Wright. It's 2-0. We're talking about working with Wright on tracking the ball. You know, the Mets have that machine that has the numbered balls that come in at 150 miles an hour, and the players have to read the number on the ball. That was Carlos Beltran who brought that machine to the Mets. High fastball, 2-1. You wonder whether, when you're struggling the way these guys have been, whether that could be of any value.
Boy, David beat there, 2-0 on a hitter's count, looking for the fastball and got beat. They're going to come right back with it.
Soto setting up inside. The pitch is outside. David misses that fastball, 2-2.
And this is a little concerning because David, we know, lifetime against left-handers, he is murder. See that shoulder fly up. Top hand. Well, it's got to be frustrating.
2-2. And he strikes him out on 3 straight fastballs after falling behind 2-0. 92 miles an hour, the hardest pitch Rosalani's thrown tonight. 5 strikeouts. Second time he's gotten right.
Well, there's too long a swing, and he's not getting it through.
You know, Gary, to go back to the little tricks and things that they can do to track the baseball or whatever, one of the things with all the technology that they have today, the hitters, got to be very careful that you don't think yourself into a slump. You can work so much on different kind of things and, you know, need to do that, have to do this. By the time you get to the plate, you're a mess because you're thinking about 3 or 4 different things. Sometimes it's better to just maybe get away a little bit and try to go back to basics.
You know, it's funny, right, because that's what actually Howard was talking about. So, you know, you work on so many different things, and the last thing I want to do with David is talk about a different approach. Like, that's why I really just wanted him to concentrate on seeing the ball today and not worry about anything else.
Bay took a call, 3rd strike, his first time up.
And guys, what he told me about Bay with that front foot is he thought that he was a little late getting that front foot down and therefore not planting correctly. Hojo, kind of like he did with Francoeur last year, he kind of waited. He said they've talked, but they haven't done anything until today. Today was the first day they tried to make a little adjustment with Bay with that front foot. The swing remains the same.
And Jason takes a high strike with the off-speed pitch.
I don't care who you are. When you're new on a ball club, you come with a lot of fanfare. I don't care if you're playing for the Reds or Cleveland, Pittsburgh, or the Mets or the Yankees. You feel the heat. You get off slow. It's tough.
So what you're saying, Keith, is that it's only human to press.
Yes. And you can say all the right things to the media and handle it professionally. But only you know deep inside how you feel.
We talked earlier about how streaky Bay can be, and there you see last year. Middle of the season was his cold period last season. This year it's happened at the front of the season when it's a lot more noticeable. And you were talking yesterday about taking more pitches and doing things a little differently to try and get out of a slump. And I asked Jason about that today, and he said, no, all I do, I take each at bat individually. I try and just do the same thing, and I know eventually I'm going to come out of it.
Well, he's a different hitter than I was.
Oh, well, Keith was saying yesterday, you know, you have all the machines to track pitches now. Keith used to say when he's in a slump, 3-1 or 3-0, he tracked the pitch coming in and pretend like he was going to swing at it. Right. That's what you had to do in the day before all this technology.
Well, there's no better radar or sonar than your own mind's eye right there.
And there's no substitute for game speed. I mean, you can hit in the cage all you want, right? But it's not going to It's not going to simulate what actually happens in a game.
I never liked hitting in the cages. I liked seeing where my ball went. So when I wanted to work, when I was in a slump, invariably I'd be out in front. I'd want to work towards left center field. I want to see where I placed it out there.
2-2 to Bay. And he fouls it back.
Good cut. I mean, Ralph Kiner is a complete opposite of me. Ralph just completely stunned me. Yeah. And by the way, Ralph, I hope that your lovely wife Ann is recovering from a broken ankle, I believe.
Yep.
And
Ralph will be here Saturday.
Oh, great. But Ralph, he said, when he go in a slump, he'd pull the ball down the left field line. And that just, to me, that just doesn't make sense. But it worked for Ralph.
Bay gets ahead of one and pulls it foul.
Darrell Evans, who hit all those home runs for Atlanta, played in Detroit also. When he was in Detroit, he would take batting practice and practice pulling balls foul for home runs because he figured when the game time came, the ball would be traveling at such a quicker amount that he'd keep those balls fair.
Never heard that before.
I didn't either until he told me.
Bay hits one in the air to center, and Bird is back. They'll put it away and end the inning. Mets get their first base runner on a walk. Still looking for their first hit after 4, no score. Radio City Music Hall. Side of the NFL draft tonight and the 2 nights hence. The 75th, it says, NFL draft. The first one, I don't think they had at Radio City. I may be wrong.
The Parthenon.
You know, I'm sure there's got to be a reason why the draft gets the audience that it does.
Yes.
Mike Fontenot takes side, but personally, I don't get it.
And you're a big football fan, right?
I'm a football fan, not as big as I am a baseball or college basketball fan. See, he's got his texting to find out who got picked.
Oh, okay.
And it's great to find out who got picked, but the idea of sitting there hour after hour and waiting 10 minutes between picks and
some of the people that sit in there, they just can't wait to boo the choice that they get.
No, I'm not talking about watching it live. I'm talking about watching it on TV. Out to right center, and Frank Core drifts over. The retired Fontenot one away. You know, part of it obviously is in football, the players are more known than they are, say, baseball, where players come out of college without the same kind of notoriety, unless it's a special guy like a Steven Strasburg. But Keith, would you sit and watch the NFL draft?
No, I would not.
With a bag of Cracker Jacks.
I might a bag of Cracker Jacks, correct, in my prize. And dig deep for the nuts. I probably watched the first round. I probably watched the first round only.
But the first round, what are we talking about? It's 30 picks, right? It's 5 hours. 32 picks, it's 5.5 hours. Something.
I don't remember it that way. Do you?
0-2 to Gorzolani. Dave Freed tells me that the first NFL draft was held at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Philadelphia in 1936. So there you go. From the Ritz to Radio City. 0-2. Gorzolani goes down swinging at the fastball. Second strikeout of the night for Santana, who's looking for his first 1-2-3 inning since the first.
Well, just fastball up. Just blows him away. You can see how Santana, unlike a lot of pitchers, he reaches behind. He loves to have that long arm action, almost like he's reaching towards second base before he delivers that fastball.
So 2 out and nobody on. Here's Terrio, who struck out and flied out 0 for 2. 3 for 10 in this series. Drops down the bunt. Santana can't handle it cleanly. Gets it a second time, but too late to get Terrio. And so the Cubs have a 2-out base runner.
Well, I tell you what, Santana, he makes that. He keeps that glove down, makes that play. He throws him out. He's so quick off the mound, Ron. What a cat.
It's almost like he came off the ball a little quick because he wanted to make that quick throw.
Watch Santana.
He gets to it in plenty of time. He just tried to rush the throw. And I think that's why. Catch it first, then make the throw.
And many pitchers don't touch that ball in the first place.
No, exactly.
So it's bunt single for Terrio. Here's Jeff Baker, and he pops one up to shortstop. Easy play for Reyes. And so Santana's put another scoreless inning up. That's 14 straight for Johan, halfway through with no score. tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m. Visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX for your tickets now. Jeff Francoeur will be facing his old team tomorrow night, and Jeff was surrounded by media today asking him about Jason Hayward, who is the new young Atlanta area star playing for the Braves, same position Frenchie was in a few years ago.
Didn't Jeff Francoeur hit a 3-run home run in his first at bat like Hayward did, or his first game maybe? There's some symmetry there.
The thing about Jeff is he was not only an Atlanta area kid, but he also was an enormous high school football star. I mean, 300 schools bidding to recruit him, considered by many the best football player as Frenchie strikes out. 6 strikeouts for Gorzelani. Maybe the best football player ever produced by an Atlanta area high school. He was that good. And so he had been a famed athlete in that town even before the Braves drafted him.
Well, the thing is for us people in the Northeast, you don't think the same as they do in Atlanta. And being a schoolboy football star is huge. It would be like being a schoolboy basketball star here in the city.
Sure, it'd be like being Kenny Anderson
there you go.
or Llewellyn Cinder, that kind of thing. Here's Ike Davis with 1 out. Stephon Marbury. Good call strike to Ike Davis. Tom Gorzelani rolling along. He still is not allowed to hit. Walked 1, struck out 6. And the breaking ball misses down to Davis, 1-1.
Earl the Goat Mango.
Yeah, he never quite made it to college. Star of the Rucker League. Ripped into right field, and Davis has the Mets' first base hit. Well, his first start against a left-hander, and Davis comes through with a hard single for the Mets' first safety of the night.
Well, he stays in there, and this ball was meant to be away. They've been pitching him away this series. They wanted to come in, but too much play. Nicely done.
You know what's interesting, Keith? Against the right-handed pitching, Davis covers the outside part of the plate. Against left-handed pitching, so far, he's a middle-of-the-plate-in kind of hitter.
You saw his stride from that overhead camera. It's a little bit in the bucket. Slightly in the bucket.
His second hit against the left-hander, so he has 2 hits against lefties and 2 hits against righties through his first 3.5 games. So here's Rod Barajas with 1 out and 1 on. Rod struck out his first time up. 1 for 9 in this series. The 1 a home run last night, and he lofts 1 foul.
Got his pitch there, Keith.
He did, but it had a little cut in it, a little run, and it just. We'll watch that, and it will see up. Got it on the inside corner. You see where his foot is right here? Stepped in the bucket just a tad. That's his approach. So they're going to pitch him away.
Barajas trying to hold, but went around on the slider, and it's 0-2.
Well, here's the swing, and you see when he strides that foot there, that means he's going to be very dangerous down and in, right in there. He can just drop that barrel right down on a down-in fastball or a hanger.
See that from a lot of left-hand hitters. Breaking ball hit off the end of the bat. Gorzelani straightens, throws to second, safe. Terrio was not on the bag with the ball, and Davis arrives safely, and he kicked Terrio on the way through.
Well, Terrio deserved to get kicked there. He's got to get there. Look what he's doing. He assumed.
What was he assuming?
Assuming that Gorzelani was going to go to the first.
Absolutely.
The bad play.
Well, you know what they say about assuming. You won't get into it.
Just took a terrible angle there, going behind the bag rather than to the bag.
Well, he's got to. He just cannot. That was the right play by Gorzelani.
Good call.
Wait a second. Did he kick the bag?
No, he missed it.
He missed it. He missed it. That's a good call by the umpire.
A nice hustle by Davis.
Davis's foot hitting Terrio's foot, sending him flying, and now the trainer out for a look.
We'll see right here. I don't think he got it.
See the kick. Tries to kick the bag with that right foot.
No.
He kicked Mr. Davis.
That's right. He's coming out of the game?
He might be. They scored that a fielder's choice and then an error on the pitcher. which is obviously not good scoring.
They call it a what?
Fielder's choice, error on the pitcher. The pitcher didn't do anything wrong.
No, he threw it right to the bag.
If he had been in the right position, Terrio, that would have been a perfect throw.
And there you see he missed the bag. Yeah. That's a good angle right there. You see him get tripped his foot made contact.
This is one of those games right here, guys, where when these two pitchers are throwing, one run might be all that's needed to win a ball game. You just can't. In these close ball games, when you got two pitchers out there with their best stuff working, you've really got to play good defense, and you really got to run the bases properly.
Huge at bat right here with the pitcher on deck. Pagan with 2 on and 1 out. Angel fly to center his first time up. Davis at second and Barajas at first with 1 out, so not a whole lot of speed out there. And Angel takes low and in with a slider for ball 1. Here's Davis, who had the first Met hit. Barajas arriving on the fielder's choice. They've got to change that scoring, right?
Yeah.
Just make it a straight fielder's choice,
Yeah.
no error, right?
Yeah, exactly.
1-0. And stopped by Soto to prevent an advance. 2-0. Well, the Mets have struggled right from the outset with runners in scoring position. This is their first opportunity of the night. Starting the night at 185. The Cubs, on the other hand, have had scads of opportunities early in this game. They're already 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position against Santana.
Let's see if Angel Pagan with Santana on deck can come up with another big hit.
Angel with a homer and 6 RBIs. No score, bottom of the 5th.
Oh, good cut.
Got the 2-0 fastball he wanted and fouled it off.
Gorzelani's sneaky upstairs.
I think that's what it is, Keith.
He's got that little bit of a jump on that fastball up high in the strike zone.
Very Ted Lilly-like, who's going to come back for the Cubs on Saturday.
Leading to Carlos Zambrano's move to the bullpen. Cubs are going to Milwaukee. They may need that bullpen. Check swing, fastball, strike, 2-2.
Tell you what, Gorzelani's been painting some corners.
Yeah. Every time he goes away when he's behind in the count, he keeps it right on that corner.
Going with the seams, Ronnie?
Yeah, 2-seamer. See that ball working its way to the outside part of the plate. Nice frame by Soto.
Two and two now to Pagan. And it's down low, 3-2.
Interesting choice there. He'd thrown 2 fastballs by him. Decided to throw that changeup 2-2. 3-2 changeup, Keith, or he's going to go right after him?
He throws I would go right after him. You don't want to walk him, Ron.
3-2 to Pagan. Throwing the fastball, and he fouled it off.
Or if you're really a refined pitcher and you drop it,
Pagan has trouble with the changeup.
Well, I would think to myself, if I'm out there as Gorzelani, I'm thinking to myself, really all I need is 1 out. If I get Pagan out, then I got the pitcher. Now, of course, Santana can hit, but that's your thinking. I got to get Pagan out, and that gives me a chance to get out of the inning.
Soto moving away, 3-2. Popped it up foul. That'll go out of play. And they'll do it one more time. Pagan, the former Cub, 2 for 11 in this series against his old team. Including a 2-run homer in the opening game of the series. This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat to Pagan. Oh, a call, strike 3. Surprised him with the slider on 3-2. And Gorzelani has his 7th strikeout of the night.
A wicked slider.
Pitcher's pitch, late breaker.
Look at this. Oh, my word. That'll get you. That'll make you go grab some time. That's a pretty good pitch, let me tell you.
After 4, out of 5 pitches with fastballs. Features the slider on 3-2.
Gorzelani put on quite a show. 7 strikeouts in 4 2/3. Now Santana with 2 out and 2 on.
Not out of the woods yet.
Broke his bat and grounded out to second his first time up. And he takes a slider for a strike.
It's the best I've seen Gorzelani pitch in a long time.
Well, the Mets have generally hit Gorzelani very hard. He's 2-2 lifetime against the Mets with an ERA of 5.68.
He's always walked the Mets a lot. Walked the world when he faced the Mets.
Pulled to the right side, and Derek Lee in front of it. Gorzelani gets over to cover. Close play as he and Santana make contact. And Gorzelani got shaken up a little bit, but he gets the out. Santana was not giving an inch, hustling all the way as Lee hesitated making this throw. And Santana. Tom Gorzelani working his way out of trouble. Got into a little trouble at the bag at first base. Look at this.
Now what? This is called puppies barking, folks. Watch that baby toe. Oh,
right on the outside of Gorzelani's foot.
Oh, that hurts.
Look at the dirt particles hanging in the air.
Unbelievable.
Love that ultra mo. Gorzelani also got a little forearm shiver there from Santana on the way by. Not pictured. Derek Lee leads off the 6th inning in a scoreless game. It's going to be like deja vu for Santana. His last start, 7 scoreless against the Cardinals, and the Mets barely got him a hit, much less a run. And here they are again, just 1 hit through 5. As Santana continues to put up zeros of his own.
Last 12 innings for the Mets. When Santana's on the mound, 2 hits, no runs.
Santana has now thrown 14 consecutive scoreless innings. Fastball strike to Lee, and Johan's on his game, just as Gorzelani's on his. Look at that strike to ball ratio. Unbelievable.
Santana's really spotted that fastball beautifully tonight against the right-hand hitters inside.
A good pop with it too, mostly in the 90 to 91 range. And there's the fastball stroked out into right field for a base hit. So Derek Lee has the Cubs' 6th hit of the game off Santana, a leadoff hit in the 6th inning. Right now, let's check in with Chris Carlin for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. He's only 47. I don't know why that should be surprising. We'll be counting on more now with Happ on the disabled list. Here's Marlon Byrd, who's had a huge series, a single and a double tonight. 7 for 14 in the 4 games. And check this out. Marlon Byrd so far this year against lefties is now 12 for 18.
Wow. 12 for 18. He's got 11 of his 16 RBIs, I believe, have come with 2 outs.
So a very dangerous hitter here for Santana as the Cubs get the leadoff man on for the 3rd time in 6 innings. Is it just me, or is David Wright consistently playing closer to the 3rd base line this year with the lefties on the mound that he has in the past?
I think he definitely is, and maybe that's the influence of Chip Hale to the team. But he definitely is playing closer to the bag.
But you know what he can do, and is that Jose can relay the signs to him verbally. Right when Santana breaks from the belt, let him know when the changeup's coming, the ball more apt to be pulled. You can play off the line and then make a step. Hitter can't see out of his corner of his eye. David's just moving towards the line.
It's pulled down the line.
That's what we used to do with the Mets and the Cardinals. Tommy Hurd used to tell me every time a changeup, a left-hand hitter was up, or an off-speed curveball, and Ozzie would tell it fell over at third. And you would just, when the pitcher came to his belt or his windup, and the ball just was getting out of his hand, where the hitter's focus has to be on the ball, you would shift towards the line.
How would they tell you? A little whistle, or
it would be Tommy would just say Keith.
Okay.
And Wally and Tuff would say Keith. Which is saying nothing ultra secret about it.
1-2 to Bird. And the fastball gets in on his hands. Ike Davis going back, trying for the over the shoulder, and he can't quite pull it in. He can't do everything.
A tough chance right there.
That was a really good effort.
Over the shoulder catch is a tough one. It's like a long bomb. So he got there, just a little bit inside the ball.
That cost him a couple of spots in the draft as a wide receiver.
Well, because of the spin coming off the right-handed batter, that ball is always going to work back towards fair territory at the very end. That's what fooled Ike.
Santana ahead on Bird, 1-2. Came inside with the last fastball. Now goes away and strikes him out with the changeup. First time Bird's been retired tonight. 3rd strikeout for Santana.
Well, it's just a high changeup, kind of right there. I'm sure that Marlon Byrd is saying to himself, how did I miss this pitch? But when your pitcher's throwing consistently 90-91, he just jammed you with a fastball inside. That changeup works.
Here's your Acela 6th inning recap. Rosalani's allowed just 1 hit over the first 5 innings, 7 strikeouts. Santana's had more trouble to work out of, but nonetheless matching zeros with Gorzelani. 1 out and 1 on in the 6th for Xavier Nady, and he pops one up in foul ground. And Davis will watch this one go out of play. Well, the last time Santana went to the mound, he got hooked up in a great pitcher's duel with young Jaime Garcia. Now another left-hander on the other side is matching Santana.
You know, the thing about Santana watching in this game, Keith, I don't know if you feel it, but he's had runners on it. It's almost like he's saying to himself, I cannot give up a run. If I give up a run, we're going to be in trouble, the way the offense has been sputtering a bit now.
Well, he's been great with his control today, and I really like the fact that the way he's spotting his fastball, pitching inside, and, you know, I think he goes out there every day. Like you, Ronnie, you want to go out there and throw a shutout every game you're out there, and he's a great competitor. We know that.
0-1 to Nady. And he loops one down the right field line. Another chance for Davis to make it like a wide receiver. This time he slides to a stop. He's getting a workout.
Mark Carlson there. Look, got the mask off. Nice effort.
Hey, Keith, let me ask you a question on these foul balls at Shea Stadium, of course, very tight. Do you get a sense at your home park how far you have to go before you run out of room?
Sure, absolutely. You get familiar just by playing year in, year out in your home field.
As for Ike, this is only his 4th game here.
See, talking about moving in the box, Nady has been hurt away. First 2 at bats, be a time to move in, maybe an inch or 2, just so that no one would notice.
Struck him out. Change up from Santana gets Nady. Back-to-back strikeouts for Johan. His 4th of the night.
Boy, this was his best changeup all night. Not only on the outside corner, on the knees, but also working off the plate. Starts it right on the outside corner. Nady has the swing, and look at take that little left turn at the very end. Beautiful pitch.
Here's your Pittsburgh Paints overhead camera. See the effect of that changeup.
This is the guy to watch. He's been the most dangerous Cub hitter in this series.
He's had him off balance tonight. Santana's gotten 2 ground balls from Soriano, and he starts him off with the changeup for ball 1. Soriano with the big night last night with a single, triple, and home run. Had a chance for the cycle, had 1 more at bat and flied out his last time up before being taken out for defense.
Well, they're really bunching them up there in right center, aren't they? Pagan's over and deep, and Francour's off the line. I mean, there's not a lot of room there in right center.
Is the 6th inning too early to be playing no doubles?
No, yes. Way too early.
Because they're playing awfully deep.
Well, they got to respect Soriano's power. Keep the ball in front. First and third's not going to hurt you with 2 outs.
Well, sometimes within a series, you can change how you defend someone. Soriano's hit a ball off the wall 415 and hit a triple there, same spot.
Oh, good sink. That might have been a better one.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Completely fooled Soriano.
Santana ahead 1-2. Fouled away. In with the fastball. Set him up for another change.
He has set him up for another change, but all game long he has gone fastball in, changeup away. Be nice to see him with a 1-2 count, double up inside.
And he missed inside with that pitch too. He got too much plate there. He got away with one, so it's maybe a good time to double up and make sure you get it in.
Yeah, get more.
And he wants the cambio. It's been such a good pitch this inning for him. Seems like he's found it.
This is low with it. It's 2-2.
That was interesting. He changed his arm angle there. He got way on top of that changeup because he did not want to leave it over the plate. He wanted to make sure that that was in the dirt. Look at Barajas. Wheels working. Figuring out what he wants to call for his pitcher. Back to the change.
2-2. Fouled away. So Soriano getting his money's worth here.
You know, one of the other things you can do with Soriano, and I haven't seen Mets pitchers do it too often, you can throw that one about head high, and he'll go fishing.
There you go. He wants to change up. Fastball away. Slider.
Ooh, slider. Down and in. Bounce it.
2-2 to Soriano. Fouled away. Got that ball up.
The hanger. He knows it.
Well, Santana has had the advantage on Soriano, not just tonight, but in his career. See Soriano 0 for 12 in his career against Santana, including the 2 at-bats tonight.
Yes. Fastball in.
Eight pitches into the at-bat, still going. Dan Worthen watching Santana's pitch count rise to 91 here in the 6th inning.
Yep, change.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at-bat, but Santana stepping off. And he bounces the changeup, and it's 3-2.
That's a heck of an at-bat here by Soriano, let me tell you.
That's why he's had such a great series. He's seen the ball well.
Took that pitch with complete balance.
Now that'll get Lee in motion. which certainly helps the Cubs if Soriano could find a gap to try and get the first run of the game home.
He wants that changeup again.
He wants to get him out with the change.
The 10th pitch of the at bat to Soriano upcoming as Lee runs. He struck him out. 3 strikeouts in a row for Santana. He gets Bird, Nady, and after a long battle, Soriano to keep the game scoreless in the middle of the 6th. Across the parking lot, Tom Seaver struck out the last 10 San Diego Padres and tied a major league record with 19 strikeouts. It was a weekday afternoon game. The shadows worked in his favor. He struck out Al Ferrara for the last strikeout. In fact, Ferrara was the first and last of the 10 straight strikeouts. Mets beat the Padres that day. Earth Day, 2-1. And Seaver with 19 punch-outs to tie a major league record. Jose Reyes up for the 3rd time against Tom Gorzelani as we start the bottom of the 6th, and he fists one foul. By the way, Seaver owns the record for most consecutive strikeouts, 10. You know who owns the record for most consecutive strikeouts by a relief pitcher?
I know. You know, Gabe? No.
It's 8. And the record is held by
a guy who's on the field, his father.
Hank Davis's daddy, Ron Davis, holds the major league record for consecutive strikeouts by a reliever. 2-1 to Reyes. And a fastball misses. And for a rare time tonight, Gorzelani's behind on the count.
Did Ron Davis set that with the Twinkies or with the Yankees?
It was as a Yankee. 1981. Castillo to follow and then right. 3-1 to Reyes. And it's too high. Ball 4. And the Mets get the leadoff man on for the first time tonight. Second walk given up by Gorzelani. Brian Custer and Brandon Tierney will be debating this year's Jets draft picks as they bring you the inside scoop on the Hot 9 New York sports stories of the day in the next Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, weekdays at 5:30 only on SNY. The Jets don't pick till what, 29th? It'll be a while. Like late into the night. Here's Castillo. Let's see how the Mets play it here with Reyes aboard. And Gorzelani with that good move. Got a feeling Castillo's going to be bunting here.
I have a hunch too. You could hit and run.
Jerry was asked today about hitting and running, something they have not done much of this year. Certainly Castillo's a good candidate for it. But he lays down the bunt. Lee will play it. Getting over to cover is Fontenot. Sacrifice successful, moving Reyes into scoring position. 3-4 on the sack for Castillo. So Louis moves the runner, and now Wright and Bay will take cracks at getting Reyes home. David's been up twice tonight and struck out both times. 2 of the 7 strikeouts for Borzolani.
Ronnie, if you're facing David Wright, and you've had the first 2 at-bats of David's strikeouts, all fastballs. Now you got him in late in the game, and you're pitching against an ace that's won a few Cy Youngs. Are you a little reluctant to go back to the well, the fastball, or?
I would sense that he's behind him on fastball. I'd be more afraid with the changeup. Okay. That it would speed up his bat. Okay. I'd keep rushing him in with hard stuff.
Get ahead of him, maybe then throw a slider at his feet.
If you throw a breaking ball to David right now, I'd throw it where it's not a strike. You have to bounce it. But you're just the opposite of Santana against Soriano. He wanted to get him out with the changeup. Borzolani wants to get right out with the fastball.
Fontenot's keeping Reyes very close at second, practically playing on the bag.
And Wright being a little tardy, I'd be maybe a little more inclined to have the shortstop hold Reyes tight.
And David swings and misses the slider, and it's 0-2.
That's a smart pitch because if he didn't throw him for a strike.
Such a cat and mouse game, okay? David feels like he's a little tardy in the fastball. Let me start it a little earlier. Whoops. Here comes the slider.
So now David finds himself in another 2-strike hole. And there's Fontenot not letting Reyes get any kind of lead. Wouldn't chase that slider. 1-2.
Nice block by Giovanni, excuse me.
Gio to his friend.
Giovanni to us.
Nets are 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position tonight. Looking to break the ice here in the 6th.
Fastball up out of the strike zone. Go up the ladder.
1-2. Fastball away. 2-2.
That wasn't framed very well by Soto, was it? Might have missed. I tell you what, I didn't think that Borzolani threw this hard. He's throwing hard tonight.
Borzolani, who's been relegated to the bullpen most of the last 2 years with the Pirates and the Cubs, back as a starter and having a fine night tonight. 2-2. Reyes runs. Wright pulls it foul. So even with Fontenot playing right on the bag, Reyes making a break for third.
And I think Reyes had it stolen.
I think he did too, Keith.
I think he had it.
Picked the right pitch, a slider. Let's see. Yeah, I think he had it.
I think he would have had it. But you know, David's got 2 strikes. He's got to protect.
Doesn't affect you as a hitter when
Yes,
the
it
runner.
does.
Okay,
Don't steal with 2 strikes, please.
See his percentage for his career. Better stealing third than stealing second. 83%. He has a steal of third already this year, although that was an uncontested one. Again, the 2-2 to Wright. Too high. And now a full count. So David, who had fallen behind in the count 0-2, has worked his way all the way back. With Jason Bay waiting to follow. Mets have had just 1 hit tonight. A 5th inning single by Ike Davis. Borzolani's been that good. It's 3-2 to David Wright. Reyes runs. Hit in the air to deep left field. Soriano got turned around. It's over his head. And the Mets take the lead. Reyes in to score. Wright pulls into second. 1-0 New York. David Wright's 225th career double, tying a Mets club record, and it gives the Mets the lead.
Boy, did he fight in that at bat, Keith.
Well, this might get him going here. Let's see what the pitch is. Oh, he hung a slider. And he knew it. And this is a good one for Dave. Drive in a big run.
And no mistake there by Soriano. That ball hit way too hard. No one makes that play.
Now Jason Bay, and he takes low for ball 1. So David Wright and Ed Kranepool now even with 225 doubles apiece atop the Mets leaderboard.
Leadoff walks, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Outside debate, 2-0.
I also think that Gorzolani spent a lot of time looking at Reyes at second base and kind of lost his attention on right after he got 0-2. Been getting him out with a fastball all night. They decided to go with a slider, and it cost him.
Only the second hit given up by Gorzolani, and it's cost him the first run of the game. So the Mets finally getting a lead for Santana. First run they've scored for him in his last 2 starts as you look at the Mets all-time doubles list. 2-0 to Jason Bay, who's 0 for 2 tonight. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Jason has taken a call third strike and flied out to center. Jeff Francoeur waiting on deck. So Santana, there's your run, big guy.
Well, another big one out there to pick up, too.
Slider popped up. Shallow left center. Late break for Marlon Byrd, but plenty of time to get there for the second out. So Bay is retired. He's 0 for 3 on the night. Wright stays at second with 2 down.
I think Bay swung the bat a lot better tonight.
Yeah, I think so, too. He just missed that pitch. Missed one in the last at-bat when he hit the ball to Byrd also. Now, to go back to Gorzolani and that choice of the slider to right, I used to always, early in my career, I used to call it double thinking. You start to get in the path where you go, you know what, I've been getting this guy out with a fastball all night. I got to get him out somewhere different. He's going to get me if I keep going with that pitch. And that later in your career, you don't do that. The hitter dictates how you're going to get him out.
So now Francoeur trying to get off the Schneid. 0 for his last 24 with a ground out and a strikeout tonight. Easily the longest drought of his career. 0 for 16 had been his longest before this. And he hits the slider on the ground, base hit into right field. Here comes right around third. He will score without a throw. Francoeur breaks the 0 for 24 drought, raises both arms to the heavens, and the Mets have a 2-0 lead.
Another breaking ball. Hurt twice in this inning with the slider. Tries to go a little back. Another hanger. And nicely done by Francoeur. Maybe that'll get him going.
And honestly, what he had been doing when he was off to that rip-roaring start is those breaking balls, he was going the other way. Nice hitting.
Ronnie kind of dropping his arm on those 2 breaking balls, not getting on top, and it just flattens that slider out. Next reaction from Jeff.
9th run batted into the season for Francoeur. A long time in coming. So Wright and Francoeur combining after the leadoff walk to Reyes to give the Mets a 2-0 lead. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Verizon Fios TV, Internet, and phone. This is Fios. This is big. By Suzuki and the amazing new Kizashi Sports Sedan. And by Parts Authority, the future of auto parts. Tom Gorzolani is working on a 1-hitter through 5, but a leadoff walk to Jose Reyes opening the door. And the Mets have cracked through for 2 runs, and now Ike Davis, who had the only hit before this inning, a hard single to right, steps in. Davis 1 for 2 on the night.
No, you might think to yourself that Gorzolani is getting physically tired. Sometimes what happens to a younger pitcher is the mental enormity of the moment of matching zeros with Santana over the course of 2 hours. Santana will always win that battle.
James Russell, the left-hander, up in the Cubs bullpen. 98 pitches now for Gorzolani, and Davis takes a slider for a strike. Rod Barajas would be next. Francoeur has yet to steal a base, but I think he intends to this year. Slider has Davis out in front, 0-2.
The problem you have when you throw those sliders, and we've seen Mr. Gorzolani hang a couple this inning, is that that's a good one and it's away. But if it stays middle of the plate in, it's a real dangerous pitch to Davis.
Now he's got Ike 0-2. Checks in on Frank Coeur.
And the reason I say that, if you bail or go and step in the bucket like you're talking about, Keith, then that inside part of the plate is now the middle of the plate.
Particularly down.
Yeah.
You can just drop the barrel right down with that barrel of the bat right down on it.
Put that ball into that short corner in right field.
So basically you become a cripple hitter. I mean, you get that cripple pitch.
Got a piece of that one.
I think he'd have to try to paint him away with a fastball, just, if anything, to change the speed of the pitches.
Frank Coeur runs. Davis grounds one foul. So with 0-2, Frank Coeur on his way. Let's see, Ike's got, see the pitch count on Corzolani this inning. Ike's got 4 hits and 13 at bats. He's a 308 hitter. Of course, he was a 1,000 hitter after his first at bat.
Mets would like their first Davis extra base hit here.
Laid off that slider, and it's 1-2. Fastball blowing away. Barajas on deck. Corzolani just trying to get himself through the 6th now. Up over 100 pitches on the night. And a good stop by Soto sliding. 2-2.
It's like Corzolani's a little gassed out.
Yeah. You know, you're matching zeros with Santana. You give up a run, and it's almost like the weight of the world now is on you. Because mentally you think, you might have lost this game right here.
Well, interestingly, they've got the lefty up in the bullpen. If he loses Davis here, they would want the right-hander, you would think, against Barajas. But none throwing. 2-2. Breaking ball hit up the middle. Terrio can't get there. Base hit. Frank Coeur heads for third. And Ike Davis got a pitch to hit and hit it right back up the middle. His second hit of the night.
Nice at bat for Mr. Davis. And really, another hanger. He's starting to hang, to flip that thing up there. And that's, I tell you what, 0-2, hanging in there. Look at that. Beautiful. Nicely done. And that's going to be it.
So Lou Piniella on his way out to the mound, and after Corzolani pitched so well for the first 5, a walk and 3 hits knock him out of the game in the 6th. And the Cubs will bring Russell in from the bullpen. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Mets have taken a 2-0 lead in the 6th.
James Russell, whose dad's Jeff, pitched for the Cincinnati Reds, Texas Rangers. As a teammate of mine in the Oakland Athletics. They had that big trade that year. Remember Canseco to Texas for Jeff Russell, Bobby Witt, and Ruben Sierra.
Bobby Witt was nasty.
Didn't necessarily know where the ball was going.
That was a little bit of a problem.
Bobby Witt from Canton, Mass.
That's right.
Jeff Russell and James Russell, one of 35 pairs of fathers and sons who have been major league pitchers. So look at Tom Gorzolani, not happy with the way this night ended for him. Of the 35 pairs of fathers and sons who pitched in the major leagues, there are 13 who have pitched with opposite arm. Jeff Russell, a right-hander, James Russell, a left-hander. Remember, the Mets had Brian Bannister, who was right. Floyd Bannister was a lefty.
Floyd threw hard, didn't he, Keith? Floyd Bannister?
Yeah, he was great at string, though.
Oh.
#1 overall pick, wasn't he?
It was.
Floyd Bannister. Here's Rod Barajas, who's 0 for 2 tonight. First and third and 2 down. Mets have 2 runs home in the inning. Russell worked in the opening game of the series on Monday and gave up a home run to Angel Pagan. And if you saw his lefty-righty splits, you have to wonder about this decision by the Cubs to have only the lefty up to face Barajas. Off the plate, it's 2-0, and if he doesn't get Barajas, then he's got to face Pagan again. Two and out to Barajas. And he golfs one foul.
Barajas comes out of his shoes when he swings.
And last night he hit a home run, and he almost threw his first walk of the season. He got a 3-1 count and swung at a pitch 2 feet outside.
He is
last time up.
He's what we used to call a whaler.
Yeah, bail and whale.
2-1 from Russell. Fouled off the end of the bat. We had a shot just a moment ago. Santana sitting in the dugout. Very long inning after you pitch 6 effective innings. What precautions do you take?
Not really precautions, but get up and move around. Don't sit in one spot for a long period of time. Get up, walk around, get yourself some water. I'd sometimes get up in the old Shea, walk down that path and go back in the clubhouse just to keep everything. You want to keep that sweat. You don't want to get cold.
Barajas tries to lay off, and he held it in time. Gets a pass from Jeff Nelson down at first base, and a full count to Rod. Stopped by Soto, keeps the runner at third.
No swing. It's a cricket swing there almost.
There you go.
Davis runs from first, and Barajas has drawn his first walk of the season. After 51 at-bats without one, Barajas gets the free pass. The Mets have the bases loaded, and Pagan, who homered against Russell on Monday night, will face him with the bases loaded and 2 out.
Could this be, could it be this far thinking for Lou that I want to see what this young man is made of? He gave up a home run to Pagan in his last outing. I want to see him face him again. See if he can make the adjustment.
Tonight, Angel is flying to center and taking a call third strike. RBI hits in this inning from right in front core and put the Mets up 2-0. And now one big swing could add a whole lot more. And Pagan takes ball 1. Jeff Gray, the right-hander, now up in the bullpen for the Cubs. Gorzolani issued a leadoff walk to Reyes, and that began his downfall here in the 6th.
Got 2 more Ernies out there, too.
Pagan, the 8th man up in the inning. Chops one off the plate. Fontenot has to hurry in, and he boots it. A run is in. Here comes the runner from second, Davis. He scores, and the Mets have a 4-0 lead. A 2-run error committed by Mike Fontenot, and the Mets have put up a 4 spot here in the 6th.
Well, nice hustle here. Barajas cuts in front, but the reaction of Fontenot
is he forgets about there's a runner and Davis hustling all the way. I mean, I don't understand. You got to know the bases are loaded. Okay, you booted it. One runs in. There's another runner there. Nice going by Barajas. And the thing is, too, that Fontenot has to come in and rush this because Pagan can run. And then he just kind of lollygags after it. Nice hustle by Davis.
Now Santana, the 9th man up in the inning.
A lot of different ways to use a big body.
So Barajas just impeding the concentration of Fontenot enough. And the Mets have a 4-run inning. Now Santana grounds one foul, and it's 0-2. Those 2 runs are charged to Tom Gorzelani, but of course they'll both be unearned. So Gorzelani's book closed, 5 2/3, 4 hits, 4 runs, 2 earned, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts.
You know, Fontenot could have played that ball a little bit for the longer hop and got the force out with the slow foot Barajas.
Fastball called strike 3. Santana down looking to end the inning. But the Mets break a scoreless tie, and they break it big time. RBI hits for Wright and Francoeur, 2 unearned runs, and Santana has a In 1886, the Mets had 5 players appear in the All-Star game. Can you name them?
I'm writing them down here. Let me see, because our producer is very angry that we give the answers every night. So I'm just going to write them down.
So you're just going to give the answers to yourself?
Yes. I'm going to keep it to myself.
That's an easy one.
Santana with the lead for the first time throws a first pitch strike to Giovanni Soto. Twice his fly to center field.
Well, I thought this one would be the tough one, Keith.
Yep. Out to right center field. Closing ground is Pagan and Francoeur, but it lands between him, and then Francoeur has it go off his glove and behind him, and that enables Soto to go to second base.
A little lack of communication there. Probably Pagan had it cut off behind Francoeur.
Yeah, and Francoeur could have made this play, but he thought Pagan was going to come in because he earlier had come in and taken the ball away from Francoeur. I don't know if Frenchie would have caught it, but I think he had the best angle on it. How about that?
So they'll score at a single and then an error on Francoeur, allowing Soto to advance to second. That's first error of the night. And so Fontenot, who made an error of his own that cost the Cubs 2 runs, will come to bat. While they talk at the mound, let's check in with Gary Apple back in the SNY studio. Gary?
wonder how our producer, Greg Picker, feels about that first-round pick.
A Giant fan. Mike Fontenot waving at the slider from Santana. Fontenot doubled his first time up, and then he flied out to right in the 5th. So the Cubs have yet another runner in scoring position. They've gone 0 for 8 tonight in RBI situations.
Out-hit the Mets 7-4.
Santana's been up to the task each time. Fernando Nieve gets up in the Mets bullpen. Kosuke Fukudome out on deck to bat for the pitcher as Santana works to Fontenot. And he hits it hard, but right at Castillo. That'll advance the runner. First out of the inning. Soto now at third.
Well, the Cubs finally advance a runner, a leadoff double, and advance the runner to third, but they're 4 runs down.
Not quite as much value, huh?
Yep.
So here's Fukudome to pinch hit. Came off the bench last night for defense. 0 for 4 in the series. It's funny, 2 years ago, Fukudome was a linchpin of the Cubs offense, now a part-time player. Infield back, they'll concede a run on a ground ball. So that puts Santana's shutout streak in jeopardy. Just have to strike him out. 0-1 to Fukudome. 101 years since the Cubs won a championship. 1908, we remember it well. The longest drought of any major sports team in the U.S. Sacramento Kings.
Well, it's after Kansas City.
They were the Cincinnati Royals before that.
There you go.
Fouled at the plate, and Santana ahead 0-2. Ryan Terrio waits on deck. Santana up to 100 pitches on the night, through 111 in 7 innings in his last start in St. Louis. 1945, Cubs got to the World Series, lost to the Tigers that year. Here's the 0-2, too high. Of course, 2003, they thought they were going to be in a World Series until Steve Bartman happened. Jeff Gray up in the Chicago bullpen. It wasn't just Bartman, of course. It was also Alex Gonzalez footing a double playground.
That's right.
And the Marlins came back. Here's the 1-2. And it's 2-2 to Fukudome. Santana has struck out 5 tonight, including 3 in a row in the 6th inning after a leadoff single by Derek Lee. He's allowed 7 hits, but kept the Cubs off the scoreboard. 2-2 to Fukudome. Pulled over the bag. That's a fair ball down the line. And the Cubs are on the board. Soto scores. Fukudome takes the turn and holds it first. Wisely slow as Frank Corner throws a dart to second base. RBI single for Fukudome cuts the Mets lead to 4-1.
Well, nice at bat for Fukudome here. Well, that ball was that was inside around 5 inches. But he's one of those that steps in the bucket. Yeah, we just talked about. A lot of Japanese hitters are like step in the bucket or are running to first base in their swing, it seems.
And Jerry Manuel's on his way out to the mound, and it looks like he's taking the ball from Johan Santana, who's thrown 103 pitches tonight over 6 1/3, and he's taking his exit. So Santana gives up a run for the first time after 15 scoreless innings, and the Mets go to the pen.
exit of 2 innings each, and he has been unscored upon. His 11th game out of 16.
It's a lot of work. First 3 weeks of the season.
I mean, we always chuckle a little bit. I mean, that's how much work he's getting.
Santana goes 6 1/3, allows 8 hits and a run. No walks, 5 strikeouts. Responsible for the man at first base, Fukudome. As Ryan Theriot steps in against Fernando Nieve. Theriot in a bunt single his last time up. 1 for 3 on the night. And hits the first pitch through the hole, base hit. And just like that, the Cubs will get the tying run to the plate here in the 7th inning.
And Gary, that conversation we were having about whether it's an unearned run or not, that base hit makes it an earned run.
Moot point now.
It's a moot point.
So it is an earned run against Santana. And now Jeff Baker will bat with 2 men aboard. Baker's gone 0 for 3 tonight, flied out twice and popped up. Last night, the Mets bullpen allowed a manageable game to become unmanageable, as Manny Acosta, Raul Valdez, and Isanori Takahashi had a rough night. Chad Tracy is batting for Jeff Baker to give them a left-handed bat against Nieve. Tracy, the former Arizona Diamondback, stepping in, and Barajas wants a conversation at the mound.
You know, last night when you saw those numbers of the bullpen, a very interesting kind of night for the bullpen. Manny Acosta came in his first inning scoreless, sent out there for the second inning. He gave up 3 runs. He and Valdez as Mejia gets loose. And then Takahashi came in a scoreless inning, sent back out there for the second inning, and he gave up 3 runs.
And now Jerry Manuel's jogging out toward the mound.
He already signaled to the bullpen.
With the left-hander announced into the game, Barajas killed enough time for the Mets to get Feliciano ready. And so it's Pedro who's going to come into the game. So Feliciano will make his way in, trying to protect a 4-1 lead in the 7th. Our AT&T trivia question. In 1986, Mets had 5 players appear in the All-Star game. Name them. Okay, Ronnie, go ahead.
I wrote them down. Okay, obvious. Keith, Kidd, Straw, Gooden. How about Sid?
Sid, in fact, relieved in that game. Gooden started. Keith, Carter, and Strawberry batted 3, 4, 5.
And I went 0 for 4.
You remember who batted 1 and 2 in that game?
Sandberg.
Sandberg hit second. Is Feliciano facing Aramis Ramirez, who comes on to pinch hit for Tracy, who had been batting for Baker. It's been a long time since Feliciano pitched, all the way since Sunday.
That's right.
And he has been tremendous so far this year, except for those 6 walks in 6 1/3 innings. But he's held the righties to an .091 average, and that's the big number now for Pedro. 1-1. Fukudome at second, Terrio at first with 1 out. Feliciano looking for the double play ball from Ramirez, who got the night off tonight, struggling badly, 0 for 14 in this series. Grounds one to the left side. Reyes will go to third and get the force play there. Why Wright was reaching to tag, but they get Fukudome on the 6-5 force for the second out.
I'm not sure that David felt he was on the bag, and let's see here. Wow, what a hop. Wasn't sure he was there. Just wanted to, that's just playing it safe. That's just playing it safe.
So he had his toe on the bag, but made sure, I guess. So Fukudome is out for the second out. Smart play by Reyes, who had no chance to turn 2 there. So now Derek Lee, the batter, with 2 out and 2 on. Lee is 1 for 3, single to right center his last time up. Tying run at the plate in a 4-1 game. And a good off-speed pitch by Feliciano, 0-1. By the way, leadoff hitter in that '86 All-Star game.
Tony Gwynn?
Gwynn.
Oh, of course. We got beat that in that one. That was the only All-Star game I lost. It was in Houston, correct?
Yeah, I believe it was in Houston. You had your white zapatos on.
I had the white Adidas.
It's when the National League used to win almost every year. Things have changed. 0-1 to Lee. Good off-speed pitch again, and he gets ahead 0-2.
Biggest sign on how important that game was with Keith, what he said. He went 0 for 4. 4 at bats in an All-Star game.
I had a terrible game.
Good changeup.
3-2 American League final in Houston. Now Feliciano ahead on Lee 0-2. Lays off this changeup, and it's 1-2.
Terry Steinbach game? Is that what that was? Did he have a home run in that game? Base hit? That '86 game?
I forget how we got beat. All I know is I stunk it up. Rigetti just made me look like an idiot. It's the one I wanted to forget.
Hope you can get over it.
Long over. You had to bring it up. I haven't thought about it for years. Thanks.
1-2 to Derek Lee. And another changeup. That's 4 in a row he's thrown. Where does he go to now?
Wow.
Frank White and Lou Whitaker hit home runs.
Okay.
So Whitaker's double play partners in the building today.
Alan Trammell. That's right. He's a bench coach for Lou.
Big pitch here for Feliciano on 2-2 to Lee. And he got him to hit it in the air. Francoeur has plenty of room out there. And so Feliciano keeps it soft to Lee with good result. Gets 2 big outs to keep the Mets up 4-1 at the 7th inning stretch. pitchers scheduled to go in the 3 games. John Maine, an encouraging performance Sunday night in St. Louis, trying to take some strides from there, going up against the Braves' 5th starter, Kenshin Kawakami. Jonathan Neese against Jair Jurgen Saturday afternoon. Mike Pelfrey against Tommy Hanson on Sunday night. Well, Johan Santana, a strong 6 1/3 tonight. He's standing by with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
You know, Johan, go back to Saturday, the crazy game in St. Louis. First couple innings, you really worked, but then just something clicked. I mean, did you feel that too at that point?
Yeah, well, you know, we're trying to make some adjustments as the game goes, and I was able to settle down and get aggressive early in the count and get to 2 strikes. So I think that's a difference.
You threw a lot of pitches in that one. Did you start to feel that at the end of your outing here tonight?
Yeah, you know, I was trying to throw my pitches. I threw my changeup. I felt I was doing a pretty good job going down and keeping those guys off balance. I mean, they hit the ball a few times, but I felt that pitch is getting better.
How about that battle with Soriano? I mean, it was a great duel. He kept fouling off pitches, and then you finally got him with the changeup there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough one, but I knew that if I kept the ball down, I would have a pretty good chance to get him. You know, we threw some fastballs in there, and then bounced a couple change-ups to see if he'd go for it, but he took a great at bat. But at the end, you know, I was able to throw that change-up there and get him.
Johan, you some of the issues you had in spring and even maybe the first couple starts was your fastball. Did you? And it seemed like it had a good pop, seemed like good location. Are you getting more comfortable with your fastball location now?
Yeah, no question. You know, that's the thing. That's the key. More than just the velocity, it's all about the command that you have on that pitch, and that's what we're trying to do right now, trying to command my fastball, so that will make my pitches much better, and that's what we're doing right now.
Before we let you go, just tell me about the feeling on the bench. Obviously, the offense has been struggling, so finally, when they're able to break through and get a couple hits and get a couple runs, what was the bench like after that?
It was the greatest feeling in the world, you know, to see these guys and see David hit the ball like that. It was good, you know, it fires everybody up, and hopefully we'll continue with that.
Johan, hope the Mets can lock this one up for you. In the meantime, thanks for the time, okay?
All right, thank you, guys.
Johan Santana, guys, outstanding tonight. And the Mets offense gets going here with Reyes with a base hit. Let's go back up to you.
Well, Reyes led off the 6th inning with a walk that sparked a 4-run rally, and now Reyes leads off the 7th with a base hit. His first of the night and his 6th in this series.
Thanks to Johan. I know what it feels like to come out of a game that has been undecided and you're still fired up. You can't let that competitiveness go out of your body, and give us a few words. That was awesome.
So now Castillo, who sacrificed Reyes along in the 6th inning. Let's see if he's bunting again here. And a low throw by Jeff Gray, the new Chicago pitcher. Gray working for the 2nd time in this series.
Ramirez way in at third base. Boy, you can put a hit and run on here.
Ramirez, who pinch hit, stayed in the game at 3rd. And Reyes diving back. Say has not been doing much base stealing in the 2 weeks since he's returned.
He said a lot about he tried a couple times for second base, almost like he feels more comfortable there.
He was running when David Wright drove him in from second in the 6th inning. And Castillo not bunting this time, takes a strike. Tom Gorzolani went 5 2/3, charged with 4 runs, 2 of them earned on 4 hits. James Russell got the last out in the 6th. And now Gray pitching in the 7th. Castillo batting left-handed for the first time tonight. And he hits one sharply. Nice play by Fontenot. And Terrio with the low throw, dug out by Lee for the double play. A sharply hit ball turned into a nifty 4-6-3 double play by the Cubs.
Smooth backhand by Fontenot. This is a bullet. Not a good throw by Terrio, obviously, but that's a tough pick. Nice play by Mr. Lee. The footwork wasn't grand, but he got it done.
Former Gold Glove winner at first base.
You know what I think happened to Terrio there? Usually you come over that bag and you get the runner coming into you. Reyes peeled off. It was almost like it changed the whole dimension of the play.
And there you see the Ultramo.
What a pick.
David Wright drove in the first Met run of the night with a bullet double to left field. And with that, tied the Mets club record with his 225th two-base hit. And Gray throws outside 1-1. David had struck out his first 2 times tonight, so that was a welcome respite with that RBI double that broke the ice in this game. Snapped a scoreless tie. High fastball through by him, 1-2. 93 from Gray. Jeff Gray, 28 years old, came over from the Oakland organization in a wintertime deal that sent Aaron Miles to the A's. Swing and a miss, struck him out with a fastball. Third time right's been struck out tonight. That ends the inning. We head for the 8th with the Mets up 4-1. Line tonight after the post game and at 1 a.m. right here on SNY. Pedro Feliciano got the final 2 outs in the 7th, stays on for the 8th with right-hand batters coming up. That's an interesting development. Marlon Byrd will lead things off. Byrd is 2 for 3 on the night, a single and a double, and a swing and a miss, 0-1.
Well, Jerry doesn't give you too much before the game on how he's going to use the bullpen, but he's tipped his hand here on with Igarashi out with the hamstring, that Pedro Feliciano is going to get a lot of work in the 7th and 8th innings.
And honestly, until he proves he can't get right-hand hitters out, I don't know why you wouldn't. As Byrd lines one just over the glove of Davis and into right field. Sliding stop by Francoeur, and Byrd down by 3 runs wisely goes back to first base. Boy, what a play by Francoeur.
Well, Francoeur is very athletic. Great football player at high school, and this is just a lovely play, up and throwing. Nicely done.
Well, he may not be hitting very much, but boy, his defense has been fine.
And you know, if you're Byrd, that's what you have to do. He's busting it all the way, and if Francoeur bobbled at it all, he's on second base. Good play, both players.
So Francoeur holds him to a single, keeps the double play in order, and now Nady swings and misses at a changeup, 0-1. And Feliciano is loving that changeup against the righties.
And Nady is just having all kinds of difficulties with the changeup tonight.
Henry Mejia up in case Feliciano needs help here in the 8th. Nady 1 for 3 tonight. The Cubs now have 10 hits. And Feliciano ahead in the count 0-2. Pedro came on to get Aramis Ramirez to ground into a forced play. Got Derek Lee to fly out. Now facing his 4th straight right-hand batter. Wind's starting to kick up. Wind blowing mostly out to right field. 1-2 to Nady. You see the flag. Wind out of the northwest right now.
Be whipping in the city tonight. Around those avenues.
Wind tunnels between the buildings.
Boy, you live in that west side, boy. You get some wind in the winter. Whew.
Change up lifted to right center field and overcomes Pagan. And that's the first out of the inning. So 1 out and 1 on. Let's check in with Chris Carlin. He's standing by for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. No-hitter for Ubaldo today, but not bad. Levon Hernandez giving up runs for the first time this season, but not bad either.
Levon's had 3 tremendous starts for Washington.
Here's Soriano 0 for 3 tonight after his big night last night. And Feliciano misses just off the plate with the changeup. Soriano's hit 2 ground balls and struck out his last time up after a marathon effort against Johan Santana to end the 6th. Fastball on the corner right at the knees, 1-1. Giovanni Soto the next man up. That's got all 4 of their runs in the 6th inning, and the bullpen needing 5 more outs to make it stand up for Santana. Two and 1 to Soriano. Johan went 6 1/3, allowed 1 run, 8 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts. His earned run average through 4 starts is at 2.59. If you could do that for a full season, you'd be awfully happy.
He only does. He does it career only half a run more than that.
3 and 1 now to Soriano. Interesting to see what Jerry does here. If Soriano gets on, would you go to the hard throwing right-hander Mejia?
Wow.
Lou Piniella has 2 players left on his bench, including his switch hitting backup catcher Coy Hill.
Fastball grip.
Fastball strike.
Nice.
3-2.
Good pitch by Pedro right on the corner.
Keeping everything to the outside corner and further out against Soriano.
Pitcher's pitch. Nothing Soriano can do with that, so he had to take it.
Fastball. Maybe a slider.
Lou looks disengaged. Well, his team's got 10 hits, only produced 1 run. They've made a couple of errors. Not a clean game for the Cubbies.
Hasn't been a very clean season for them.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
Don't want to walk them. Keep it away, right, Ronnie?
Yep.
Again, the 3-2, and he fouls off another one with a little more of the plate that time. Well, there you see where Lou Piniella sits on the active wins list. For Russo, who's second all time, and Bobby Cox not far behind him. Won one of the most unlikely World Series championships back in 1990 when his Reds swept the heavily favored A's. 3-2, fouled away again.
Ooh, coming inside, Pedro tied him up.
I mean, the A's were supposed to be the invincible team back in that era after they had swept the Giants the year before.
And they got swept by the Reds. Wasn't that when Eric Davis got hurt and
hurt his kidney, right?
Yeah, kidney.
Sliding in the outfield.
And Mark Schott made him fly home commercial.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Another long at bat for Soriano. 10 pitches the last time. This will be the 9th pitch from Feliciano.
Here comes the change.
Rolls over it and pulls it foul.
Soriano's just putting some at-bats together here. It seems like he's found his stroke.
The Braves are coming in here tomorrow night, and they're getting pummeled tonight by the Phillies. 8-2. That game's now in the 7th.
It's in years a Phillies score 8 runs every night.
Seems that way, doesn't it? If they win tonight, they'll go to 10-5, and the Braves would fall to 8-7. That's 8-3.
So the Phillies, out they blew that one lead, they'd be looking at a sweep of Atlanta. First game in that series they blew late.
3 home runs in the 9th and 10th inning. Again, the 3-2. Soriano keeps it going. Wow. Last 2 at bats, he's sent 20 pitches. 10 and 10, and this one isn't over yet. So Feliciano has to rev it up again. He's now thrown 24 pitches to his 5 batters, and you see that wind rustling the uniform of Feliciano. It's becoming more and more of a factor. Papers swirling around Frank Cora out in right field. What do you go to now?
Fastball away.
And he walked him. So Soriano wins that battle. And now the Cubs will get the tying run to the plate. What does Jerry do? Will he bring in Mejia, or will he stay with Feliciano? K-Rod looking on as well, but he's not coming in with 1 out in the 8th. And Jerry's going to make the move here. So Feliciano faces 5 batters, issues a walk after giving up a hit here in the 8th. And now it'll be Mejia's job to protect a 3-run lead. American Airlines. We know why you fly. We're American Airlines. And by Ford, check out the best-selling vehicles in America. Drive one at your Tri-State Ford dealer today.
Is that the Brooklyn Bridge there? Hey, guys, I'm coming home after the game now. Let's disperse a little bit. Henry Mejia coming in the game, just like Fernando Nieve. His last 2 outings have been 2 innings apiece in here try to get this out.
He's had a couple of nights off after pitching the last 2 innings of Monday night's Med win. Justin Berg up in the Cubs bullpen. Giovanni Soto tying run at the plate in a 4-1 game. 1 for 3 on the night. Singled and scored the only Chicago run in the 7th. And Mejia starts him off with a fastball for a strike. A single by Marlon Byrd and a walk to Alfonso Soriano have put the Cubs in business here in the 8th. Twenty-year-old Henry Mejia called upon in a big spot in the 8th inning. And the curveball misses away for ball 1. There have been very few games like this for the Mets this season, where they've carried a short lead into the late innings, where you ask your bullpen to set up with a specialist and an 8th inning guy and a closer. Now this situation comes up and they're without the guy they expected to be that 8th inning guy, Ryota Igarashi, now on the disabled list. Fastball strike 1 and 2, so that's necessitated a change in plans, and it's almost like Jerry has seemed unsure tonight about which way he's wanted to go with Nieve, Feliciano, and now Mejia.
Well, he wanted to go with Feliciano, but Feliciano couldn't finish the inning. Pretty good at bat by Soriano, put an end to that. Threw a lot of pitches.
1 and 2 to Soto. But he had said that he was going to use Nieve and Feliciano in the 8th, but he went to Nieve in the 7th, which left Mejia as the backup plan in the 8th. So it's almost like he's trying to piece it out right now.
I think the score of the ball game dictates how Jerry's going to use that bullpen, whether he's behind or ahead, how close the game is.
But when you talk about an 8th inning guy, this is the kind of 8th inning you're talking about, working with a lead, a couple of men on. He had taken a lot of time getting together with Barajas.
Well, for the young pitcher, if I'm the catcher Barajas, his best pitch is his 95-mile-an-hour moving fastball. You need a ground ball here to try to get a double play. Stay with that. Keep it down.
Raul Valdez up in the bullpen with the left-hand hitter on deck, Fontenot. 2-2. And a full count now to Soto. A walk would put the tying runs on base. So the education of Henry Mejia on display.
Keeping it away.
3 and 2 to Soto. Check swing, and it's up high, ball 4, and the bases are loaded.
He did not swing. This is a check swing. Boy, I'll tell you what.
That was a strike the first night.
Yep. Well, it's getting a little hairy, isn't it?
Just above the belt. Mark Carlson saw it as high. So now the tying runs are on base. The left-hand hitter Fontenot's coming up, and Jerry's coming up the dugout steps, ready to make a double switch. Alex Cora's coming into the game, and so will Raul Valdez, as the Mets will go to their 4th reliever of the night. 4-1 New York in the 8th. We'll be right back.
Oh. Who we got coming in here, Raul?
is not Raul Valdez. It's Frankie Rodriguez to try for a 5-out save.
Well, it's his second save opportunity. He wasn't able to get the save in St. Louis, but got the win. Last 5 seasons, 229 saves. That leads baseball.
Brought in to face Mike Fontenot with the bases loaded and 1 out. 4-1 New York, 8th inning. Fontenot 1 for 3, doubled back in the 3rd. And the first pitch fastball taken high. So it's the second save chance for K-Rod, and neither one has been anything close to conventional. The first one in the 19th inning after warming up 8 or 9 times, and this one asked to get 5 outs, which is unusual for him. Bird, Soriano, and Soto the base runners. And Fontenot takes low and away, ball 2.
Good patience right there by Fontenot. And the reason that K-Rod isn't putting this kind of opportunity too much is that he throws a lot of pitches, even when he pitches 1 inning.
So looking for his first save of the year and put in a delicate spot. 2-0 to Fontenot, and it's ball 3. A walk would force home a run. Tyler Colvin, a left-hand batter, has come out on deck to pinch hit. So now it's 3-0 to Fontenot. And Frankie throws a strike. Santana came out after 6 1/3. Nieve threw 1 pitch, gave up a hit to Terrio. Feliciano faced 5 batters, gave up a single and a walk here in the 8th. And Mejia faced 1 batter, walking Soto to fill the bases, leading to K-Rod. So far, it's been a bridge over troubled waters to the Mets closer.
A bridge too far.
Fouled away. Fontenot hangs in there.
Fontenot playing very much just going up the middle here. Just don't think he has the pop to hit it out. But
the wind blowing out to right, though, right?
Yep. No Cub wants to succeed tonight more than Fontenot, whose error cost the Cubs 2 runs in the 6th inning. He'd love to get some redemption here. 3-2 from K-Rod. Lifted to left, shallow. Bay settles, makes the catch. Bird heading home. Bay hits the cutoff man. Sacrifice fly for Fontenot, cuts it to 4-2.
Oh, ball 4 right there, but a tough one. I think a changeup finally. Pretty good at bat by Fontenot. You see, watch him let go with 1 hand, completely fooled. No, he didn't let go with 1 hand.
He got a lot on that ball considering where it was.
So a run is in. That run charged to Feliciano. It's now a 4-2 game. And now Tyler Colvin will come up as a pinch hitter. Colvin started in right field last night and went 2 for 5. The rookie hitting at .261. 2 out and 2 on, tying runs aboard. And the first pitch changeup outside for ball 1. Colvin, #1 draft pick by the Cubs back in 06. Won a job this spring with a great spring training effort in Arizona. (1-0) to Colvin. Swing and a miss. 2 changeups in a row. A ball and a strike. Justin Berg getting ready to pitch the bottom of the 8th for the Cubs, with Colvin batting for the pitcher. Soriano at second. Soto the tying run at first with 2 out. And Colvin swings and misses. Frankie stands soft with the rookie, and it's 1-2.
Doesn't have to throw him a strike with that separation of the fingers, Ronnie.
The ball just never gets there. Nice pitch from K-Rod, who has all season long against left-handed hitters featuring that changeup more and more.
Two. Fouled down the left field side. How unusual is what Frankie Rodriguez is being asked to do tonight? The last time that K-Rod had a 5-out save nearly 5 years ago. Wow. July the 2nd, 2005 in Kansas City while with the Angels. And that's what Jerry Manuel has put on K-Rod's shoulders tonight. He's gotten one of those outs. He's ahead on Colvin, 1-2. In there for a call, strike 3. Colvin can't believe it. Mark Carlson calls the low strike, and K-Rod ends the top of the 8th inning with a strikeout. The Cubs get one. Mets lead 4-2. Braves at Citi Field. Mets Braves coverage begins with Subway pregame tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. only on SNY. Kevin Burkhardt's got a scouting report on the Braves. Kevin?
Well, it's pretty obvious. It's all about Jason Hayward, guys. I mean, he's been the talk of Major League Baseball all year, really all spring, when he was hitting balls in the parking lot and breaking car windshields. And just 20 years old, the Braves had actually looked at him when he was 11 in some parts, because, you know, they always scout their backyards so well in the Atlanta area. And, you know, I talked to Frank Wren, the Braves general manager, and I asked him what his first impression was. And he said, well, for me, you know, we drafted him at 17, and his presence. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know a lot of 17-year-olds that have great presence. I mean, that was the statement to me. And that hasn't changed. His presence, and he's got a feel and, you know, a good confidence about him that was there then and is certainly there now. And think about what he's done. First at bat in the major leagues, he hit a home run. This past week, he had a walk-off 2-out single. He tied a game with a home run with 2 outs in the 9th inning. The only problem is the Braves offensively were still really struggling. Evidence tonight, they scored 3, but coming into tonight, they were batting .209 as a team the last 9 games. So Hayward playing great, but still Braves overall looking for offense. Guys?
Well, they certainly have got the starting pitching. Derek Lowe got beat up a little bit tonight, but with Hansen and Jurgens, who's also struggled early in the season, and the top of that rotation with Tim Hudson, the Braves are going to be able to pitch this year. Jason Bay pops one up. Coming in toward the plate is Ramirez, looking at Soto, but Soto finally has to go grab it. They were staring at each other, wondering who was going to take it, and finally Soto took charge. Well, talking about Jason Hayward, this was against the Rockies.
Oh, nice hitting. Nice hitting right there. That's on Franklin Morales, the hard thrower, I believe. That's going the other way and a fastball away, RJ. That's nice hitting.
2 out, down by a run, drives in the tying and winning runs.
This is the most impressive home run I saw. I hit one in San Francisco, Keith. A line shot over the left field wall. Got out in about 3 seconds.
I loved his swing in spring training. And he is off to a terrific start.
20 years old. Tremendous presence, great arm, speed, got the whole package. Frank Core hits one to shallow right, and on comes Nady to make the play for the second out. So the first 2 outs registered quickly by Justin Berg here in the bottom of the 8th. And now Ike Davis, who's had a really good night, 2 for 3 with both his hits off the left-hander, Gorzelani.
You don't ever want to have a quick inning offensively, but it bodes better for K-Rod to get right back out there. Proctor, assuming a high school, right?
And Davis slashes one foul. Mike now 5 for 14 in the major leagues. That translates to 357. One and one to Davis.
This guy reminds me a little bit of Mike Adams, who pitched for the Mets also briefly, a couple seasons ago?
Very briefly. Pitched a lot more for Milwaukee.
That's right.
Off the corner, and it's 2-1. Mike Davis with 5 big league hits. That would be 5 more than his dad had.
No hits?
Ron was 0 for 6 in his career.
Oh.
Not all pitchers named Ron can hit.
I can't strike 8 in a row out, so. Or maybe he could. Ike was quite a pitcher in his day.
Fouled away. How about where Soriano is playing against Ike Davis? He's playing him like, I don't know what he's playing him like. Like a pitcher?
He's like he's in ambush mode over there. He's like, I don't know what he's thinking.
I think he carries a little GPS thing in his back pocket, and once he gets a little too far away from that wall, it just pulls him right back over there.
Playing him like he's playing Castillo.
Yeah.
Over toward that left field line.
And that would be too much of the line for Castillo.
And this was Bluk where he should have been playing, and it's going to go in the gap, and Davis is going to get 2 bases out of it. Well, Ike Davis with his 3rd hit of the night, his first career extra base hit.
Oh, nice 3 for 4 right here. How about that? Soriano has no interest in getting this ball. You take it, Marlon.
I know what's interesting about this night is that there was some talk. Well, should we rest the big fella against the left-hander? I don't think so. 3 knocks.
2 hits off the lefty, now a double off the right-hander.
He's young. He's not tired.
He's at 400 now. Puts him only 224 doubles behind Cranepool and Wright. Here's Barajas 0 for 2, and his first walk of the year his last time up. Takes a strike from Berg. So the Mets have just their 6th hit of the night. They didn't have any hits until the 5th when Davis picked up the first one, and now Davis has half of their 6. Barajas strokes one the other way. He's got a base hit. Davis being waved around third by Chip Hale. Here comes the throw by Nady. It's cut off. The run scores, and now Barajas is tagged out by Fontenot to end the inning. But Barajas tacks on an insurance run as he drives home Ike Davis, and K-Rod will take a 3-run lead into the night with the Mets up 5-2. game. Terrio has base hits his last 2 times up, 2 for 4 on the night. Cubs about hit the Mets 10-7. But the Mets lead it 5-2, and Terrio takes a first pitch fastball for a strike. It'll be Terrio, then Aramis Ramirez and Derek Lee here in the top of the 9th. K-Rod trying to save it for Johan Santana. It would be Santana's second win. It would be K-Rod's first save. And the curveball misses somewhere. 1-1.
Somewhere Tyler Colvin right now is saying, now it's low?
Yeah, right.
And Terrio fouls it off. 1-2. Two years ago, 62 saves for Frankie Rodriguez, the all-time record. Now in game number 16 of this season, looking for number 1. One-two. Check swing, and he takes low. 2-2 to Terrio.
You notice how the National League now, Frankie's second year through, their second half last year started laying off, making Frankie get balls up. Hitters make adjustments. Frankie wants you, he's a guy that wants to expand the strike zone.
And Terrio foul tips it, held by Barajas. 1 away. Second strikeout for K-Rod.
With a fastball like that, I would use it.
You know, they always say double plays are a pitcher's best friend. These are pretty good right here, too, when your catcher's able to hold on.
So 1 out now. Ramirez, who came on as a pinch hitter in the 7th, get into a force play. Now 0 for 15 in this series. And hitting 129 for the year. You know it's not going to last, and you want the Cubs to get out of town before Ramirez starts to swing the bat if you're the Mets. Derek Lee on deck. The Cubs have gotten off to a very shaky start, and the Mets on the verge of winning a series for the first time this year. Fastball gets him out in front on Ramirez. 0-2.
I've just never seen him swing under so many balls.
Not making any adjustments.
Ramirez, a guy who generally does not strike out much, but it's not the case this year. 0-2. And the breaking ball in the dirt, scooting past Barajas. 1-2.
Ah. Not St. Patty's Day, is it?
Nope. Green for Earth Day, Keith.
That's right.
40th anniversary.
I'll put that on my calendar.
Not.
Repeat every year.
1-2 from K-Rod. And that one's low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He struck him out. 3 strikeouts in a row for Frankie Rodriguez. 2 out of the 9th.
Well, just blew him away. Well, Ramirez is just looks terrible up there. Under it again, Ronnie. See how he's bending his legs? He's dipping. My dad would say, "You're dipping."
And when you dip, your head moves, right?
Yep. You just, and then your bat goes underneath.
So now the Cubs are down to their final out with Derek Lee coming up. 1 for 4 tonight. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Lee just 2 for 14 in this series. So with Ramirez and Lee, a combined 2 for 30. It has certainly helped the Mets during this 4-game series. 1-1 to Derek Lee. Marlon Byrd, who's had a terrific series, would be next.
If you want to say anything about this series for the Mets pitching, is that you want to identify before you go into series the people you don't want to beat you. And they've done it, as you said, Gary, great job against Lee and Ramirez.
Now Frankie's 1-1. And Lee drives one to right. Frank Court chasing back. And he makes the catch, and the ball game is over. For the first time since 2005, Frankie Rodriguez has a 5-out save. His first save of the season. And the Mets, for the first time in 2010, win a series as they take 3 of 4 from the Cubs.
Well, the second win for Johan Santana, who might not have had his best stuff, but boy, he battled with runners on all night long. 4 more relievers needed for Jerry tonight to get the remainder of the outs. And some nice offense by the Mets, especially late, Keith.
Well, the Mets took advantage of some poor play in the field. The error by Fontenot in that 4-run 6th. Ike Davis 3 for 4 tonight with a double.